everyone have their snacks and provisions? It'll be good to see if Tolu is set on fire once again.
Blue is fine.
Hey, can you make my guy bigger?
Be
Oh, yeah.
worrying about right now.
Let's see which one.
Well, you're gonna have to worry when we die out in the woods, and then it comes for you.
That'll be fun.
Here's the thing. We'll be good.
Can Goliath travel in the snow better than a necromancer?
Hmm.
We're about to find out.
We must ask.
Okay. So, let's see here. Welcome all of you. In your last session, I have an incredibly massive list that sits in front of me of all of the shit that you guys did. It was a very packed session. You spent a good deal of time planning out the temple, which you eventually built. You met different people throughout the town, including an old guard captain who you would eventually manage to convince to take up the position once again, so long as he didn't have to fight on the front lines. You had a merchant who came through with a suspicious dwarf that I think some of you might not even be completely sold on yet. You spoke with Jack, who mentioned that getting supplies will be difficult because apparently the towns are shutting down. Andwall has closed its gates, or is in the process of doing so. And some of you actually met the two wizards underneath the mountain and found out that they're actually fairly interesting characters with a bit of an odd quest that they're on in between the work that they've taken up here at your town. And then, of course, we get to the really big stuff, which is that half of you decided to wander off into the frozen waste to go and, I don't know, make a stop at Home Depot, and will probably die in the process. Sound about right?
I think the last
Yes.
bit was just a bad dream, and we're gonna wake up in town.
Right. So, it's late in the evening, and to bring us back to where we left off, out in the frozen wastes, somewhere close to the southern forest, two of you are making your way along the road as the darkness starts to come in. It first starts with the sun setting, but after that, some sort of unnatural blackness creeps in around the group, and before you know it, nothing can really be seen. It's clear to you, Vorok, that for the brief seconds here before you're completely enveloped in this darkness, that it's some sort of magical haze which chokes out all light available. And to you, Dudarin, given your blessed sight, you can actually see that through this sort of dark haze is a myriad of skeletons which make their way towards you. The two of you are here alone on the road, surrounded by them. What do you want to do?
Baroque, we need to run.
I don't know where we'd be going. There's darkness everywhere.
Just turn around and run as fast as you can.
Well, I don't see why, but I'll trust you on this, dude, Aaron.
I will
And,
I will run behind him and give him a little push.
Okay.
At his command, yeah, I'll just turn around the direction we're going in and I guess take off.
Okay. Now, before that, I must ask, do you intend to take off your backpack and throw away the puzzle box so that you might run faster?
Absolutely.
Sorry.
We're not
okay.
trapped in a dungeon anymore. It's totally fine.
It's totally fine. I'd like the two of you to please roll an athletics check for me. The first roll of the night.
Oh, I'm actually good at those.
I was going to say that and I thought it was going to jinx me, but it looks like you did that.
It's the only thing I'm actually good at. Modify 20.
Mine is a 13.
I did say I was pushing him along.
A modded 20 and a 13. Okay. So you go running there, Vorok. It's really... You're told that there's all sorts of horrible beasts that are here in the fog, and as you run, Dudarin kind of like lends towards your speed as he continues to nudge you, and while the two of you begin to run through, a few attacks come out in your direction. as you're escaping through the area, passing by, the skeletons lunge towards you. Are you guys going to make any attempts to fight back with them, or just try and, like, bulldoze straight through them?
Well, he can't see them, correct?
He cannot.
Then we will bulldoze through.
Okay.
Until we can no longer.
Vorak
Yeah, if he's
is in
let me
the
know-
front.
If he's let me know, like, I don't know, maybe I'll just like run while swinging my axe in front of me.
Okay.
Great idea. Vorak, run while swinging your axe in front of you.
Vorak does an 18 hit.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not bad. You take 3 points of damage as something slashes against the side of your arm there while you're running, and meanwhile, does a 16 hit you, Dudarin?
Just barely.
Oh, just barely. Right, your AC is up now. You take 8 points of damage as something pierces in through your side here. A weak point in your armor on the side of your rib cage is suddenly torn open, and you begin to bleed out, though you're still able to continue running. I'd like you to go and make an attack there, Vorak. Do so at disadvantage.
So that's gonna be a 15.
Okay. While running along here, you swing out, and you hear the sound of your axe actually making contact with something. There's like a clattering noise, and sure enough, while you're running, you feel what's like a disembodied skeleton that collides with you as you run at top speed here, trying to escape. As you continue to do so, there's a few more attacks. Let's see. Vorak, does a 17 hit you?
Yes.
And Dudarin does an 18. Oh boy.
Yep.
Okay. Vorak, you take 4 points of damage, and Dudarin, you take another 8.
Dude, Aaron, what sorcery is this? I can't even see what's attacking us.
Pay it no mind. Are we in like pseudo combat?
You are. If you have
May
something
I
you want to do, please tell me.
I would like to do my second wind.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Yo, I'm gonna go into a rage while I'm running.
Okay.
Okay, that's not bad. That makes that first attack.
Okay.
One of those attacks like null and void.
While you're running here, you can hear the sound of the clattering. It almost seems like it's fallen off to the sides of you. You can hear, given how close it is, that you're passing by numerous skeletons, but there's still the sound of more up ahead. And Dudarin, you can see just past Vorak that there is actually a group of 4 of them which are getting ready to leap in his direction. But there's something different about them. I'd like you to roll perception, please.
Fun. That is a straight 14.
Straight 14. You notice that 2 of them have nets in their hands.
Really quickly, is there a way like just like nudge around them, maybe, or?
Oh, you could certainly try. They're straight up ahead, and you could try to veer out of the way.
Vorak, turn to the left.
Well, if you say so, dude, Aaron. More skeletons ahead?
Yes, ones with nets. They will capture it.
Nets, you say.
Just the imperil, the fucking doom and chance of death. Nets, you say? Okay.
Vile nets of doom and death.
As your group turns over to the side here, making a veer for the left, you note that the skeletons, they lunge in your direction and they miscalculate, missing, and the bulk of them don't manage to touch the 2 of you at all. However, a stray net, which would have gone towards Vorak, flies in your direction, Dudarin. And probably okay. Does a 12 hit?
No.
Ah, the net flies out and gets close, almost grabbing onto you there, but then falling harmlessly to the ground. And as you finish veering left, you pass by their group. And Vorok, you see when you emerge from this magical darkness, and suddenly the world comes back to you. And Dudarin, you can see all these skeletons that have fallen far behind.
Are there any near us right now?
What's that? Sorry?
Are there any near us right now, or are they kind of contained in the darkness?
Oh. As you look around, you see none of these skeletons. The telltale signs of them were very obvious while you were running through and battling your way on through the darkness, but now that you've emerged from it, you see nothing like that.
I don't think we should stop. We should keep heading back to Blue.
Yes, there's nothing like I've seen before. Any idea where this may have come from?
I can only assume they can. I would hope we're still running while we're talking.
Yes, you're running and just like looking straight down the road towards the north.
I gotta remember the name of the town. I would assume they came from Arbison, which is not great news.
No, most definitely not. Perhaps they've come to try to take down this hero they've heard of.
Well, I'd like to see them try. But for now, we run like men that have lives that they care about.
Well, don't worry, Dudarin, they'll have to get through me first to get to you. I'll flex a little bit at the skeletons from behind as they're chasing, if they are.
It's like
Okay.
laughing along, that they will.
As you turn around and look in the distance, you can see the dark cloud from which you've emerged, Vorok. And it seems to be roughly stationary. It stays in the same spot from where it was before and drifts ever so closer towards you, but at a pace that couldn't even hope to match yours as you and Dudarin continue to run down.
Well, we'll have to make haste back to town. If this thing's been at the other cities, there's no doubt it'll be headed to Valoo.
All the more reason to get back and prepare.
Okay. So you are... Let's see. You're not too far from town, but the blizzard makes things tough, and it is nighttime. Are you going to attempt to forced march back to town, or are you going to do regular travel speed?
Considering there's an army of dead behind us,
Probably a
I would
forced
say-
march.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll just keep going.
Okay. Meanwhile, back at the town, you two have nestled in for the evening, unless there's anything else. I think that we ended it with...
Well, since nothing eventful is happening tonight, I guess I'll just go to bed. I think anything was going on with that.
I heard Ivan breathe off in the distance.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to remember what we were doing last time. We were...
So the very last thing that you guys were doing, I
They
believe...
bring back his magic beans, right?
We're waiting for the beans.
You
Yeah.
had
Magic beans.
You had a lengthy talk with Maverin and Westry, and I think after that you then went back to your camp.
Yeah.
We spoke with Jax, then we went back to camp.
So is that it for the evening?
What time is it?
Right now, the sun sets off in the distance.
Setting. Okay. Yeah, it's a good time to go to. You know what? I'm just gonna go to bed.
Okay.
Decisive, but
So you go ahead and set off to sleep. And meanwhile, on the road somewhere, I need two of you to go ahead and make for me a set of 2 Constitution saving throws. The first you need to pass is a DC 10, and the second is a DC 11.
20 and then a 9.
I passed the first and I did not pass the second.
Okay. Each of you fail 1, and by the time that you roll into town, you have exhaustion, a single level, which equates to disadvantage on ability checks. You've been huffing it through the night into the next day, and in the horrible cold, your bodies are strained beyond all belief, but eventually you make it in, and through your superior constitution, manage to pull into there a little, in just like a little bit under 2 days.
I immediately head for our tent.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't stop
So-
running until I get to the others.
If they get there in under 2 days, does that mean we have like time to do things? Myself and Ivan.
Ah. You do have time to do things. So the next day here, your companions are still not here. What do the two of you want to do?
Well, seeing as I'm not too worried about them time-wise. They should be getting here in a day or two. I'm going to go ahead and learn myself I'm gonna learn myself some magics with as I find the page that has the spell. Ray of Sickness.
Ah, okay.
I believe he gave me 2 vials of magic inks.
You did. So if you want to spend your time during the day to do that, you can go ahead and add that to your book. I believe it's like an hour for every level of the spell.
2 hours for every level.
2 hour for each kit.
2 hours for every level and 50 gold of magic components, but since I have the ink, I'm using that.
Nice. So, Ivan, what are you up to then during that day?
Unless something important arises, I'm gonna head out to that frozen dwarf camp
Oh, very
and just
interesting.
salvage any other resources that we find there.
Okay. So let's see here.
So ask Jax what day it is. Can't forget that.
You leave and head off towards this this little camp that you know happens to be just outside of town. And when you get there, retracing your steps, you note that it appears as though nothing has changed except the items that have been left there have accrued even more frost and snow on them.
Okay. Do want to, before I start looting here, for lack of a better word, check the surroundings and just see if there's any other markings or, has anybody else been here since our party?
Oh, interesting. Okay. Go ahead and make a survival check. Looking for traps or sorry, not traps, but clues that somebody may have been here. Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Okay. You look around and you note something. And with your keen eye and a bit of a hunch, you see not only what appears to be the tracks of somebody else that has been here, but you think that this person has been here fairly recently. There are footsteps in the ground, those of soft boot tracks, which come up towards the outskirt of the camp and then turn around and sort of head off. It's clear that you're not the only person to have run into this, and the last that you knew, your group was the only ones that had tumbled upon this, but it's clear somebody else has since then. Looking about the camp as well, we'll use that as a bit of a perception check too. You can see that items that could be salvaged include the tools that the dwarves had, and some minor gear that they had on them, as well as the 3 tents that they had.
2 tents.
2 tents, sorry. One of them was smashed by somebody. Not putting any names down.
I don't know who it could have been.
I'll name nameless. Assuming that like I'm set up pretty early in the morning and I'm gonna spend kind of like a good portion of the day here just kind of going through their things. terms of tools, weapons, what else do I find?
Oh, okay. So the tools are the kind of things that you would need for stuff around the camp. You find what looks like some cooking pots and like a butcher knife, that sort of thing. You see an axe, which is clearly meant for chopping wood instead of war, and that's basically the contents here. If I remember correctly, there was also a crowbar. I think somebody took that. Apart from that, there's the 2 tents, which are in good condition. They are large enough to comfortably fit a single humanoid in them, or maybe a couple of dwarves.
Okay.
Though the cloth which drapes over the top of these A-frame tents is completely covered in snow and ice, it doesn't look like the fabric is really damaged or anything like that, and you can probably salvage the whole thing.
To do so, if there is any damage, I'll use mending to try and repair it.
Ah, okay, very good. So
Yeah,
you
cantrip.
can go ahead and add 2 tents to your inventory, and you can also add those miscellaneous like camp tools as well.
Camping gear.
Now I know that you took the boxes from the dwarves last, and I believe that you looted them to a degree as well.
We took their armor in the boxes. I don't think we took anything else, did we?
I don't think so.
I rushed after we found out that they were assessed and sent after Vorok.
Ah, okay. So you could give the corpses another look over if you'd like. They are completely frozen.
I will take my time to give them a look over here.
Okay, let's see what you find. It's average. Peering around on the bodies, you manage to find a few things. It appears that hidden away in like completely frigid, solid clothing, there are things like small bits of coin which have been basically packed onto them just by the horrid weather. You go ahead and add to your inventory 13 gold coins.
Okay.
Apart from that, it appears that they wear commoners' clothes, and combination of that and travelers' clothes. There's additional straps, pouches, things like that, which are on them, which may come useful in a long journey. Apart from that, though, you've already taken their armor, and I believe 2 sets of it were used to fuel a creation of someone's chainmail the other day.
So we should have one more set of chainmail. Yeah.
So if you want to take that last one, you are more than welcome to. It's in good condition and is well preserved.
I'll take that as well.
Yeah.
Then everything else on the bodies is just literally the clothes on their back.
Yes.
How long would all this have taken so far?
Probably a few hours in the morning. Like looking at all of the tracks carefully, starting to pull things apart, packing up all the tools, getting the tents down, all that.
So, after all of that, I guess this is something I might know offhand. How easy would it be to start a fire with Sacred Flame? Like the conditions.
Interesting. I'm not sure whether Sacred Flame really starts a fire, but I guess with like concentrated effort, maybe a minute or 2.
I think I do have like a tinderbox. My plan is not to leave these bodies here and create a sort of small funeral pyre.
Ah,
Being assassins, give them their last rites, etc.
interesting. Okay. So you can go ahead and collect these incredibly cold bodies, and then you're going to set a large fire and put them over top, yes?
Correct.
Yeah. Let's see here. What prayers do you say for them? Just generic prayers to Tilva, or do you have anything special prepared for them?
Nothing special. Maybe a short piece about Orphan brothers find peace.
Okay. After that, you watch for a brief moment as the bodies begin to thaw and then begin to burn afterwards. Are you going to head back into town once they're finished?
Yeah, once, like, I'm not leaving this thing burning on its own. I'm keeping an eye on it. And once it's actually completely, done, head back to town.
Okay. So, it takes a while, just given how cold things are and what it's like with the bodies here. But eventually they do begin to burn, and it takes a large portion of your day watching them, but the deed is eventually finished, and you have probably the evening left to yourself. During this time, Meneltern, what would you be up to? Because it takes you a couple of hours to get the spell down. Did you have other things you wanted to do?
After I'm finished with the spell, I would like to go down and speak with the two wizards, Mavrin and Westry,
Oh, sure.
about an idea I have about the power of the rift into a concentrated beam of energy to protect the city.
So it begins. Okay. So you head off towards the two guards here, and they part, letting you inside. And as you traverse down the steps and eventually get towards the two of them, you can see that they're once again at their table working on something. And Mavrin looks over towards you. He takes off his hood and says, "Oh, that's good to see you again."
As well.
Say, It's been a few days since you've been gone. I have a new development to share with you.
Wait, what day is it?
You see Mavrin pauses for a second, and then he kind of looks over at Westry, and then Westry just stares at him, and the two of them... I'd like you to go ahead and make an insight roll.
Confused. I'll explain after I get my answers. 15 plus, I believe I have 2. Yep, so 17.
17. Okay. So, with an insight roll of 17, you can tell that the two of them have a moment of realization. And as he looks back towards you, you get the idea that Mavrin knows that you're a great soul and what that entails. It's like a switch goes off in his head.
Mm-hmm.
You can practically see it behind his eyes.
Yes. I believe myself and my party to be great souls as well. A little help with the time would be appreciated. It'd get confusing.
The 69th of spring, my friend.
Wow, that was a rather short lapse.
Oh, let me see here. Sorry, I got that wrong. It's the 70th.
Oh, well, that's still only an extra day.
Yeah, it's nothing like the last one.
I mean, this was only 4 days, mind you. It's the last day I have down. It is the 66th. Like, we had a 15-day jump before that. This is only a 4-day jump. Interesting. Seems rather irregular. Anyway, you were saying developments.
Yes, the portal is not acting how I had hoped it would.
Eh? How do you mean?
Well, fluctuations have changed, and though we've done what we can with the crystals to keep it as closed as possible and as often as we can, it seems that every now and then it grows particularly large, and what apparatus we have is nothing to stop whatever it is that's causing it to grow. Now, it doesn't seem like a great problem. However, by my calculations, for a brief moment, it does become large enough that something could step through.
That's rather concerning. What would remedy this? More crystals or larger crystals, do you think?
Either would work, though. Well, a trip all the way back to the tower to steal another crystal seems ill-advised.
Indeed.
There is another alternative. A dangerous one, but then again, well, sometimes dangerous things are worth doing. I believe that the disturbance is likely caused by something on the other side of the portal. We could send someone to investigate.
That would certainly be an option. Although I'm not entirely sure I wish to confront what exists in the plane of fire.
True.
We'll think about this. Yeah, I believe that myself and my companions, the necessary trip to Novaria, not exactly ideal, especially considering the distance.
You could go for it. If you intend to do so, then I would recommend not mentioning that you're looking for this crystal in my name.
Indeed.
Well,
Where exactly are these crystals found?
cave structures mostly. The Underdark.
Are there any known caves under the mountains to the east?
In Marenheim?
Not Marenheim, what are they called? The Grey
Oh.
Peak Mountains.
Oh, to the west. There's plenty of caves there. In fact, I think, well, there might be something to be found, but without a map, you would likely be wasting your time. Or at least without some sort of quarry. If you're just wandering around, I can't imagine what you would find. The crystals are difficult to detect. They don't really give off any sort of signature, and it's only by the mild malfunction of magical equipment that the people are set off to their whereabouts. There is,
I see.
well, the tower is not the only institution wealthy enough to have these crystals. You could potentially find them elsewhere.
Oh,
I think you cut out for a second there.
can you hear me now?
Oh, there we go.
Here we go. Where would that be?
Well, it depends. Perhaps a well-run merchant's guild might be able to point you in the right direction. Maybe a noble house or some sort of collector.
Our friend Jax would be rather helpful in that regard.
I have mentioned to Jack that there's this complication, and he understands how the portal is run, and I've had an in-depth talk with him about this whole operation, but he doesn't exactly have anything on hand.
Hmm. When the larger fluctuation in the portal comes in, is it that the crystals cannot contain the entire energy of the field, or
Yes. Yeah, the net output increases remarkably for just a brief window of time. I'm not sure what's causing it.
would there be a way to focus this energy?
How do you mean?
Well, the crystals are absorbing energy from the plane of fire. That being said, it is obvious the magic that it's absorbing is of a fire nature. I imagine that if we could somehow crystals to output the energy they are absorbing in some kind of concentrated manner, perhaps we could, well, I'm thinking concentrated. You know what? Actually, this falls right into place with something I've been drawing up, and I pull out a piece of paper that I've been working on, and it kind of a little drawing of the portal and the crystals and some, I'm assuming, would I be, I'm trying to think, what would be the term for like magical math? Like
Magical math.
magical math. Math about
Mathic?
magic. Mathic.
Jesus Christ. Yeah,
Some
sure.
scribbles and kind of loose ideas about energy of the crystals into a focused beam as a way to output the energy that it's absorbing.
Make an intelligence check for me. Arcana, if you would.
Pleasure.
Here we go, boys. Here's the laser dream right now.
Oh, god damn it.
Go cry in your corner.
Okay.
No way. Good preliminary.
You have a sketch here that you've outlined that has an interesting concept laid on it. And as you hand it over towards Mavrin and he looks towards it, you see a puzzled look that comes over his face. And he turns towards you and says, I'm not sure I fully understand. So you intend to concentrate the magical energy, but this doesn't exactly add up.
Well, it's rather preliminary. It's more of a concept than anything else.
I'd like you to make a persuasion roll, please.
Lives on.
Oh my fuck, that was almost another one.
That was too close. That's a 15.
15. Okay. You see that there's quite a bit of pondering here, and Mavrin actually he kind of motions for you to take his seat as he gets out of his chair and wanders over to grab another one from over by the bed. Do you take his seat?
I take the seat.
Okay. He rejoins you here at the table, and the three of you stare at this paper for a bit, and he kind of turns it towards Westry, and he says, Westry, what do you think? She kind of looks over at it and just kind of stares at it for a moment. And I'm going to make a couple of Arcana checks for our two magically inclined friends here. It's a 10.
Me.
It's not fantastic. And then
One.
that's another 10. It's not particularly fantastic. Although before mods.
Perfectly average.
So the two of them stare at this for a second, and you see she kind of looks at the paper and hands it back over towards Mavrin and stares down at it, and she turns over towards you and she says, well, the energy has to go somewhere. What would you use?
Well, I was thinking one, a larger crystal, although that might be harder to get our hands on.
Well, these crystals don't necessarily absorb the energy, they just, well, nullify it for a brief period of time. If you wanted something that could store it, like the way that a barrel holds water, well, I don't know. And you see Mavrin kind of lights up from across the table and he says, well, there are some magics. And, I'd like you to make an insight roll.
I'm a curious look.
Was that a
10.
10? Okay. It's clear that there's some sort of air about the table here as the two of them talk over this plan. And when Mavrin mentions some sort of magics, they sort of pause for a second. And then he turns back towards you, handing you back the blueprint. And he says, well, an interesting idea at the very least, Minotaur, but I think it needs
Magics
work.
are you talking about?
Well, there are ways of storing energy, but not exactly in the way that you'd think. You can trap perhaps an elemental or even potentially an entire, like a human soul to an area, and you could do that multiple times. Whether or not you could do that with just raw arcane energy, however, I'm not certain. The only thing that I can think of that comes close to that would be, well within the field of a powerful necromancy, or perhaps...
I'm sorry, perhaps what?
I don't know. My thoughts escape me.
Well, these plans and bring them back to you when they are in a more finished state.
Yes, please. It is rather interesting. It'd be an interesting little project to pursue once everything here is said and done. Though I would say getting the portal into a state where we don't have to worry about something leaping through it would probably be more important.
We'll talk to Dudarin once he gets back about how we can remedy this.
You see, he nods. Are you headed back up topside?
Go to Jack's.
Sure. What are you up to, Ivan?
This is the same day?
It's the same day, yeah.
Okay. Probably not much on the same day. Came back to town with supplies, going through it, making sure everything's working order, casting mending on anything that needs minor repairs.
Okay. So just trying to spruce everything up as best you can.
I'm just waiting for Judarin to get back so we can work on the temple.
Get the goddamn seeds.
Magic beans.
Okay.
Those goddamn seeds.
So over at the tent that Jack stays in, you make your way over, and the guards quickly summon him. He steps outside. The sun is going down off in the distance, and as he makes his way out, he sees you, and his face turns to that of a brief smile as he sees you there and says, "Oh, Minotaur. What is it?"
I have an idea to discuss with you. I spoke with Mavrin and Westry about this. If there's anything else you could offer about it as well.
You see, he looks up and down the different lanes here through the tents and then motions for you to come and join him in his. Well, what is it?
Oh, the idea is rather rudimentary at the moment. But essentially, the outcome would be collect and the energy from the portal in some kind of concentrated beam, something that we could use to, say, defend the town or city, rather. The problem I'm running into at the moment is determining a way to collect the magic from the crystals. We were going back and forth, myself, Westry, and Mavrin, and Mavrin mentioned that perhaps powerful necromancy might be able to do something of this sort, and I didn't know if you knew.
Well, I know of which he speaks. He's a smart man. He knows how it is that a lich seals his soul and essence into an object of power. In theory, you could do so with the, I suppose, other things, though I'm not sure it's exactly been done.
Could be the first.
True. Well, as I see it, if you intend to do this, the creation of a lich's phylactery is, well, mostly the subject of rumor, and I've put in a degree of study. Let's just say that there's a great deal of bloodshed that generally goes into its creation. I'm not entirely certain you want to go down that road, Meltiern.
In the sake of the magic and town, at least something to consider.
Perhaps we're the city in dire need, though things have been fine around here as of late. Well, food grows a bit scarce, but given that the temple is built, hopefully that'll be fixed soon. Have you seen Dudairn at all?
Something I don't really remember. He should be back soon, though. My worry, though, comes from of other towns shutting down, and, well, imagine that people will be looking for someplace to go, and cities, perhaps, looking for places to conquer. Only worry that a town or city as small as ours will lack the necessary things to defend itself. A warm place in a seemingly endless winter is both a boon and a, well, curse, I suppose.
Well, not every myth's the same, but I can tell you that from what I've seen, the creation of one of these objects could take hundreds of lives. If there comes a time where that many innocents must be thrown to the torch so that the rest survive, then, well, perhaps then it might be a favorable choice, but even then I am reluctant to go through with it.
They necessarily have to be innocents? I mean,
no, of course
some
not.
kind?
If you have hundreds of criminals laying about Meneltyr, then by all means, let's use that, but, well, even then, what if it doesn't work? After all, the phylactery holds a piece of a person's soul, not energy from the plane of fire.
We'll have to think about this more and speak with yourself and Westry and Mavrin about this in greater length to foolproof idea or plan about it, but promise in this.
Certainly. Well, I don't believe that the town is in any great peril at the moment, but I will give it some thought. Maybe there's something that we're missing in this puzzle. Now, before you go, I trust that Mavrin spoke with you about the portal and its complications as of late.
I'm waiting for Dudarin to return so we may discuss what to do next. I imagine he's going to wish to jump headfirst into danger, although hopefully I may be able to convince him to take a less path.
Oh, you cut out a little bit there.
I don't know where I cut out.
Oh, it's all good. I think you meant to say, like, less dangerous path?
Hmm.
Okay. Jack seems to nod in agreement. He says yes. As much as his heroism has won the town, it may be a good idea that he stop living so heroic that he might live to see the town become something. Who knows? I won't tell the man how to live.
Nor do I think any... I do have a question concerning that. Is there any way to travel more quickly? Do you know any teleportation magics?
Well, it does exist. I can tell you that while my magics aren't exactly advanced enough to do that sort of thing, that I have known others, masters of their craft, that can hop across the world in but a blink of an eye. There are teleportation circles that exist in this world, though often shrouded in secrecy. Is there somewhere you intend to go?
In light of the problems with the portal, the idea would be to head to the Wizard's Tower in Solsland and either make off with or acquire one of the crystals there.
I'm not sure that's a wise idea. Look, Minotaur,
Safer than fighting whatever in the plane of fire, I would imagine.
we don't know if this idea is going to work. I think that you might be onto something. It's new ideas
But
like
for
this that
keeping
push
the fluctuations under control.
If a heist is what you plan, then I cannot endorse that action knowing that the town may suffer from it. But if you think that you could pull it off without being seen or leaving trace or any identity as to which group of people were the culprit, then, well, that would be one way to solve it.
Like I said, I will speak with Dudarin once he returns.
Of course. Well, we shall see what Dudarin has to say when he makes his way back.
Till then.
He gives you a nod, and are you headed out the tent?
Head back to camp, work on the laser project.
Work on the laser project. Okay. So with Ivan nearby and the sound of his magical fixing of different objects and kind of removing little bits of rust from a chainmail set that he's recovered and all that, the two of you sit down to plan things out for the next day. And if there are no objections, we'll go into that next day. Okay. The next day rolls around, and during this day, it's early in the morning when finally your friends manage to make their way into town here. So you've been traveling for quite some time, the two of you, when finally you roll into camp. And you have marched throughout the last night just to get over here as fast as you have, trying to stave off exhaustion, eating when you could, and pushing your muscles to your absolute limit. You've made it back. And the two of you, as you come into camp, you can see Ivan and Meneltirn there, just getting ready in the morning.
You too.
I'm assuming I'm still running that
Sorry?
like full speed.
Welcome back.
Dudarin, are you okay?
Yeah, give me a moment.
There. Well, Worse for wear.
Oh, skeletons and nets and
Fiends, by
the darkness.
They like after I catch my breath. Yeah, we've got a big problem.
You lose the beans. Oh, it's like the puzzle box all over again.
What? No,
I
beans.
threw them behind me to run faster. I'm sorry, I had to.
No, I have those.
It's
more about
we
the-
didn't lose anything.
It's more about the army of undead we ran into.
What?
Just the cleric from the other side of the room. What?
Army of undead?
Yes, some magical darkness. It was not good times.
It's I couldn't see them all,
Are you
but I
certain
did
that they
kill
are
one of the
following
skeletons.
you back here?
I'm
If
sorry
so,
that
how
we did
far
not go back
behind
to
you Are
look.
they?
We
So
ran
my-
into them outside of Arbison. We didn't turn back. The entire troop.
Yes, we've been traveling this entire time. I'm exhausted.
This is rather concerning.
I need to speak to Jack.
Be a perfect time to look into creating that giant laser. Under his breath.
And
Yes. Let's speak with Jack.
I start trotting off to Jack's tent.
Okay. Is the whole group headed there?
Taking a look outside in the direction that Darren and Vilrock came from, do I see a giant army of undead?
No, as you look over there, you see the flurry of snow. The blizzard rages on, but no army of undead. Perhaps their bone-white skeletons are hidden in the snow. So, the four of you make your way over and eventually get over towards Jack's tent. He's already outside when he sees all of you approaching. He has a cup of tea in his hands from which a wisp of steam comes off, and he takes a sip before looking up at the four of you and going, "Ah, you're back.
Jack, how do we stop an army of undead?
Come into the tent, please." You see that he kind of looks around hurriedly to see if any commoners might have heard your bold statement out of the middle of nowhere. One of the guards gives you four a worried look as you step into the tent.
I give him a worried look back.
Oh shit.
Like, yeah, man, you better be scared.
Okay. The four of you are now in the tent here with Jack, and he looks over to you and says, "Darren, please don't speak of such things like that just so brazenly out in the open."
Well, how else am I supposed to talk about an army of undead possibly marching into Volu?
You're a leader now, and the people of, well, this entire encampment are hanging on your every word. You can't just go around spouting things like that, even if it is truth. Now, what is this about an army, you say?
Outside of Arbison, we ran into some magical darkness that contained many, many undead.
How many?
Yes, they tried to catch us with nets. They almost got you down here.
Okay, I broke him.
I don't know how many, Metal Tierin, but it was... I saw at least 20 with my own eyes.
20. Well,
T isn't exactly an army.
no,
I
but
can
it,
only see so far.
it does paint the culprit as a at least somewhat powerful necromancer. It could be that there's a rogue set of cultists that have animated a grave nearby or something of the like. Though given the cold that is instilled in the ground, that seems unlikely. Did you get any other details?
Well, they died quite easily. I did manage to kill one of them.
Well, that's good, Vorok.
They seem to just appear out of nowhere in the dark.
Distinguishing features.
Skeletal.
Yes, I think they were made out of bones.
Jesus fuck.
For your astute observations.
They're made out of bones.
Well, I'd know the sound of cracking bones of the sound of my axe anywhere. To be honest, I didn't really see many. It was more Dudern than myself. I was blinded by the weather.
I'm not sure what you want me to tell you, Menotirn. They're skeletons. They look like skeletons.
I've seen that outside the blizzard has been raging for days. Could it be that they simply snuck up on you with the limited vision?
No, they didn't appear until the darkness surrounded us.
Yes, it seemed to come from out of nowhere, and before we knew it, it was completely dark.
Like a smoke cloud?
Somewhat like that, yes. But I'm sure there were no fires burning in a blizzard such as this.
It was magical.
It was magical, as I could see through it.
There's something uncomfortable at work here. I fear for Arbison. How close were you from there?
I believe it was less than half a day's travel. Perhaps
A few miles.
even closer than that.
It was mere hours away from town, then something may have happened. Dudern, you said you saw 20 of them?
That's what I saw. I don't know if there were more.
Well, as far as I can tell, there are two possibilities. One of which is that we're dealing with either a single caster or a small group that has a limited amount of power, and we needn't worry about more than a handful of these creatures showing up on our doorstep, in which case, well, as Vork has mentioned, he's slain one with ease. We should be fine as we are. The other alternative is that you saw but a fraction of the arcane power that something or someone out there possesses, in which case, well, if they have all the town of Arbison to feed on, you could have an army headed this way. We're not prepared for that.
Knowing our luck, it's the latter.
Knowing your luck?
Yeah, trouble tends to find us.
He looks over at the rest of you to see what your facial expressions you give.
Only like half in the conversation. He's kind of like pensively thinking, looking
Okay.
off into the distance.
How about you there, Vork?
I'm just a little confused and point at myself like, am I trouble?
Then he looks over at Ivan.
Take care of. We should not ignore this.
I agree with Ivan. The people of Velu are tired and weak and hungry. We can't risk an attack of any sort, really.
Ah, that's a good point. Perhaps the druids. Could they help?
Ugh.
Battletear just goes, ugh.
That was a rather funny joke, Jack. Ugh.
It's not that bad an idea.
Well,
The druids will not help us. Killed people for entering their forest.
Well,
It's
then
their
perhaps we need to lure these skeletons into their forest and let the druids do the work for us.
Don't think
That
they would
sounds
appreciate
like a
that.
bad idea.
How would that even work, Vorok?
You see that Jack is thinking long and hard on that suggestion you've just put out there, Vorok. He kind of tunes out as the rest of you kind of talk amongst yourselves for a second as he scratches his chin.
Oh, that reminds me. When I dig through my bag, here are the seeds. Metaltear.
Very quickly. And I say, quickly these will grow. Perhaps if we... But then we would have to trade our favor in with the druids to help us with this rather than the food.
I don't think druids like undead any more than the rest of us.
If we drive a number of undead into their forest, they may see it as a act of aggression.
2.
Like the stupid type.
Well, I don't know a lot about the druids, especially these ones, which you've described as being aggressive, but I don't think that they're very fond of necromancers. Or the undead, really.
Would one band of druids and the meager guards that we have been able to muster, would that be enough?
Perhaps. Maybe
Well,
I've
don't forget about
overestimated.
us. Unless you plan to let others do the fighting for you, Elf.
That's 100%
I mean-
my plan, thought Meneltierin.
That is usually how I...
If we aren't surrounded,
An
in
army
darkness
of
and a
undead, if
blizzard.
that is the case, then... It's
Well,
all
drop.
rather troubling.
on our home turf, without the darkness or the blizzard, even an army of skeletons doesn't stand much of a chance.
Wait a minute. If you were running from skeletons, and then I wonder when time jumps for us. Skeletons would have made it here before you.
No, we ran all the way here. Didn't sleep. Barely ate.
As far as I know, that does not hamper the ability of the gods to steal time from us.
What?
Oh, I believe that we're great souls. The great souls myth, as I'm sure you are very unaware, involves the souls of, well, they are called great souls, fished from the sea by Yendu, who then the gods, apart from him, decided that we were too powerful and that the only way to stop us was to bestow a curse in which we lose time. Today is the 71st of spring. Today was the 70th, and before that it was the 66th.
What Meneltierin means to say, Vorok, is that he thinks you might have a curse which will involve you waking up with a few days missing, and I think he may be correct.
Well, I didn't really keep track of the days living out in the woods alone.
You get used to it.
It could be that it's happening to you already. Anyway, at the
How
moment it's
exactly
a little
happened?
concerned. How fast did these creatures move?
Well, they were quite slow. We managed to run past them quite easily. I think the snow helped with that. Perhaps in town, with the warmth and less snow, it might be easier for them to attack us.
Even with the few days missing, if this happened back then, well, I would estimate maybe we have a few more days until they show up. Perhaps you might be right. Maybe the druids aren't the answer. If we ask too much of them, they may grow angry. maybe it's fortifications that we should be looking towards. Though
We
I have
building
little in terms
supplies.
of supplies, yes, indeed. No, what we have has been spent mostly on the temple. I believe there's a little bit that remains, though not much more than materials for a shack or two. This doesn't look good.
No, it does not.
How are the militia? I know I told them not to fight on the front lines, but if it comes to it, there's may not be much of a choice.
I see the men train up on the hill from time to time. They seem about as good as any city guard. Though certainly new at the job, that much is obvious. Must remember there wasn't much for equipment, and, well, we've put together a few men that have more or less been policing the entirety of the town, so it's not exactly an ideal situation. I don't know what would happen if we were to counter an army of undead. Realistically, with our numbers, there would be me, my guards, maybe half a dozen guardsmen, and yourselves. What other townsfolk wanted to take up the sword? How many druids were there?
We saw 5, 6. That's what we ran into.
The answer. Unfortunately, we have no access to fortifications in a decent amount of time. We have no means of acquiring weapons of war in a short period of time. We will have to fight with what we have on hand. Every able-bodied man in the encampment, as well as the militia, and if we can manage it, the druids. I think the best plan would be to the druids and allow them to harbor our people in the forest for the time which the undead are upon the city.
He looks over at you, Ivan, and he says, "How many undead do you think you could slay, cleric?"
Well, there was that time in Puzzlebox or down in the crypt, there were quite a few, weren't there? Assuming that they're nothing special, maybe a dozen or two.
Well, that bodes well. We might
A
have
small
a
army
chance.
won't stand us, but I'm worried of the numbers that we didn't see.
Well,
Of
Town of
intervention
Arbison.
by your gods.
I'm not so sure how much more intervention I'm going to get.
there's rumor in the town. I hear it. There's talk amongst the folk. A lot of them believe that the gods have gone silent or forsaken them in some way. Spring draws to a close, and yet, well, while the people here are safe, there's a winter outside which seems to desire to choke everything with a cold that this world has never seen before.
I just had an idea. And it's stupid enough I think Darren would think of it.
Oh goodness, share with the class, please.
What if we could convince the god that hates me to help the world?
I'm sorry?
The goddess of fire? The one that wants to kill me? She could warm
Harbor
up
the
the world, right?
assistance of the Red Queen.
That one, yes.
I understanding you just want to make sure I'm hearing you loud and clear, Judarin. You want the Red Queen to help us. The Red Queen, who is likely the reason this city has been burnt to the ground, who did a rift and sent through a fire genie to destroy the town, and for, as you have told us, wishes you dead or at least brought to some sort of justice.
I know it's not the best idea,
I might even say it's the worst idea.
but it risking, well, my eternal soul, whatever of that is left, to get the world out of an endless winter doesn't sound like that bad of a trade.
Well, I think you're both right. Meneltern, the idea does seem crazy, but at the same time, see, Jack looks over at you, Dudair, and he says, if there are allies to be found anywhere, now is probably the time to find them and call them, despite how shaky those alliances might be.
In that case,
I'll have to think on this.
it's in the temple. In
In
the
the
event
mean-
that we need to seek out help from the druids.
In the meantime, Jack, what do we tell the townsfolk about our
Tell them
Correct.
nothing yet.
hurried preparations that they might see?
I think we hope that they don't know. As far as hurried goes, well, let's not go building any walls or anything just yet.
Should I instruct the militia to patrol on the outer edges of the town? We had the Chimera attack. It seems to stand to reason that they would like to prevent another one of those.
As far as I know, the militia guards the outer perimeter on their own, so you're already covered there, but do be on the lookout if anybody comes hollering to you and brings ill news. If we're lucky, this is all just false flag. I'll think of if there's anything that I can do to assist the town. Maybe there's something I haven't thought of yet. And yes, Meneltern, your idea with the sacrifice and all does come to mind.
Sacrifice?
It's a little bit more complicated than you would imagine.
You're not sacrificing townsfolk, are you?
Just
Not
the bad
yet.
ones, he says, poking his index fingers together.
I would like you to not play with the lives of my people.
And it's for their own protection. Haven't exactly landed on the final as of yet, so no need to get all twisted about it.
Killing people isn't protecting them, Meneltern.
That I'm just saying that ends justify the means, although like I said, plans aren't finalized yet, and we haven't completely come to a decision about the particulars of how this would work and so on and so forth.
I give Jack a strong glare.
He sees this and says, your friend believes there's a way of harnessing the power beneath the hill, and I think he may be right, but the only way I know how to do so involves quite a bit of bloodshed. And while it could potentially save the town, it's just a magical theory at this point. let's not be hasty. Perhaps all this will blow over soon. If you don't speak with me by the end of the day, I will come and find you at your camp. And hopefully I will have more help and better ideas by then.
Agreed.
Very well. Keep your lips sealed about this, and I will do so as well. The guard will not utter a word.
Eltern is going to head out to the temple.
Okay. So the four of you make your way out of the tent, and what do you guys want to do? Are you going to go with Miniltir to the temple and go and see if you can set down some magical seeds?
I made the promise, so I have to go.
I'm probably gonna try to get some warm food and have a rest for now after our ordeal.
Okay.
I'll be going with him to the temple.
On the way, I just want to pick up, like, if some camp has a bucket of water or something.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you could grab that. So everyone's going to the temple, save for Varrock, who's getting food.
And sleep.
And sleep. Okay. So you head back to camp and find that the deserted area there is all left to yourself, and you go ahead and sit down to get a rest. Meanwhile, the other three wander off towards the temple. Along the way, Meneltirn, you pick up a pail of water, and the three of you soon find yourselves here in front of it. For Dudairn, this is the first time you've seen the temple, as it was built while you were gone, and it looks like it's fairly large. Maybe not by the standards of some of the things you've seen in developed towns, but compared to all the other buildings here, like the other shacks, it's actually fairly impressive.
Good work. Will this do it?
We'll find out. I go over to the altar and I pull out the thing that I left there, and I just kind of want to leaf through about, anything in particular, but about where to plant things.
Ah, okay. Go ahead and make for me a intelligence roll as you stare into this book and hope to find out how to lay things out.
How big is the bag of seeds that we were given?
Roughly the size of a small coin pouch.
I just need to get rid of all of the dice that I have.
Wow.
I was actually like chanting for not a 1, and look what you did.
You done fucked it up. First the
They're
laser, now the
jinxing it.
druids. Okay,
So
so
shit with the rolls.
the book has some info here and there on different topics, but you're not really sure you understand what you're looking at. When you get to sections on how the garden might be arranged, it's difficult to read and seems like it's very subjective, and that the book's outlines that it gives for how to conduct oneself are very much so left to interpretation, and this is frustrating.
It's like hoity-toity, or not hoity-toity, like free love and bullshit is this.
This is why we don't let hippies write books, throws the thing against the wall kind of thing.
Are you alright over there?
The book is incomprehensible.
May I see?
Hey,
Can I just do a short rest and grab a bite and then wander over to the temple after that?
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. So you'll probably get there partway through the
True.
book study. Dudairn, go ahead and make an intelligence roll, please.
Hmm. 8.
An 8. Well, you can see what it is that Miniltirn's talking about. This religious text is not very well laid out, and a lot of it is left to interpretation, and by the time that you've finished going through a couple of pages, you don't feel like you're any more educated on the subject of laying down gardens in temples at all.
Taking the book from Dudarin.
Here we
I'll
go.
pass off the book to him. It can't be that much different than planting a garden at home.
As
Right?
Ivan begins to read through the large doorway there, Vorok steps in, and let's see what you get. Oh my god. This is savage.
Varrock, do you know anything about plants and temples?
Just take a
What
handful
about
of seeds.
planting the beans and caring for them? Yes, I know a few things about herbs and nature and things of that sort. Let me take care of it.
Make an intelligence check, please, Vorok. Here we go. All hopes are on the fucking Goliath Barbarian. Ah!
Damn it.
Okay.
Should we get Jack?
As you stare at this, you once again realize what it is that everybody else is going through, and the looks on their faces are kind of like, hopefully he gets it, but he's probably not going to. And sure enough, that's exactly what happens.
So I just kind of like wave the book in my hand. I'm not sure what you need this for. You just plant the beans and care for them. No?
That's what I thought.
Complex than that. Looking through
Well,
the
if we're just gonna
bag,
take a guess here, I'd say we should put it somewhere into the center, maybe close to the altar.
some in every room, as to properly disperse the plants.
No, you want them all in just one big old patch.
Is that right though? We have to get this right.
This is beautiful. I think at this moment, as all four of you are here with the book, completely confounded by it, with a small pouch of beans, we will take a brief 5-10 minute break.
Goddamn.
Alright.
Beans are gonna be the best of us.
Foiled by some beans.
Army of Undead, no problem. Gardening,
Beans.
done for.
I love this, like, giving groups just, like, weird, obscure tasks upon which, like, the world's hinging. 400 townspeople might die if I don't get this flower arrangement right. Fuck.
Maybe the Red Queen knows.
Possible. By the
never.
way, I believe that for the majority of you, your mic sensitivities could stand to be pushed up ever so slightly, or to go down. One of the two. Anyway, it's not picking up everything that you're saying, so you might want to adjust that a little. Discord's weird like that.
I switched to push to talk.
Oh, okay. Well, that would do it too.
Just forget about that. So I just dropped it 10 decibels.
Sweet. Yeah, it's picking up more, so that's good. Okay.
Fixes the problem.
I'm gonna go grab something. I'll be back in a minute, and then we can get to gardening.
God damn it. I'm gonna go get a snack as well. Hello, hello.
I'm back.
Hello.
Is everybody ready for some sweet gardening?
Garden D&D, the gardening game.
Ready? Let's do it.
Oh my god, yes. Several ones later, and we're happily married.
Yes, I am ready to play farming.
Farming simulator, Faerun.
He goes back to weeding their garden. Whoa. Okay, alright. It's time to make the fucking rolls that break it for everything. Ah yes, the dulcimer. Perfect. Well, folks, the four of you stand round, a book in front of all of you, which has given you little useful information, and more so just headache and frustration. What's the plan here? A single bag of beans currently rests in Meneltyrn's hand. As he looks at it, the four of you can all see in plain sight. There's not a lot to go around. What to do with it?
Well, looking at the seeds that we were given, what exactly do we have? Like
Well,
identical, undistinguishable seeds, or
as you stare into the bag, you notice that no, it seems that the seeds are rather varied. Some of them are a little bit smaller than others, some of them are a little bit larger, and they have different colors as well. The whole pouch is roughly large enough that you could, like, close it in your fist.
Table Talk Rourke thinks that he knows how to plant
Hmm.
this stuff, and it's probably just going to take him and plant it if we don't come up with anything.
You might do a really good job of it, too, who knows?
Were there no, like, obviously there were, like, instructions in the book, maybe even pictures on how to, like, build the shrine,
I mean,
but were there none showing, like, how, like, plants were laid out at all?
that's what we all tried to read.
Yes, so in there, all
Not
of
in
you saw
pictures?
that, yes, there were details on how to lay out the garden and everything. Though the book stressed that you shouldn't use these guidelines directly, and instead should follow a combination of the guidelines and also what you think would be appropriate, and then trying to find what would be appropriate, you all came up empty.
Can we try and identify the seeds?
Ah. Does anyone have proficiency in nature?
So, I think.
Would
That's
Arcana help at all if these are magical?
Oh, damn it, I don't.
You're all fucked.
That's a negative Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
How about survival?
I will let people who have proficiency roll survival if it so happens that some of these seeds are edible.
I'll take it.
Auroch's gonna eat our seeds.
Oh, those are good. Just takes that.
It's only a 10.
Ah,
10.
6.
Okay. You guys have no idea if these are edible seeds that belong to plants that you recognize or anything like that. They all seem rather strange. Not like otherworldly, but you just don't know what they are.
Did we get Jack? I feel like this is a little
too important?
Too important, just it. I feel like this should be something we can handle. We're planting seeds, not stopping an army of undead.
I'd rather take the undead at this point.
Well, I
Um,
may not have had a garden made out of magical druid seeds, but I have tended to a garden here and there. I'm sure I can do it.
Orok, Dudarin, perhaps you could go throughout the encampment and see if there are any Erudin present. I know Jack said that belief has begun to dwindle, but previously devout followers.
You keep cutting in and out there, Middleton.
I can drop my sensitivity again.
Might be a good idea. Looking for previously devout followers of Eridan out in the town. That's one thing you could do.
I think it's worth a shot.
I think you should just let Vorok plant the seeds.
I don't think that's a bad idea.
This is planting seeds. What can go wrong?
What could go wrong?
Well, do any of you have any better ideas?
Well, as I said, it's just a garden.
Surround
I think
everybody.
I can handle it.
Just plant them.
Just
Look,
plant
like any
them, says the
garden,
dwarf.
you just need to plant the seeds with some love and care.
I feel like that might not be the best idea.
Well, what if I just plant one of them? We'll see what happens.
Looking at the book, you said that there were exact instructions, but it said not to follow them and to go with the flow, more or less.
Yeah, so there's one or two illustrations of a garden that somebody's done. It says, but don't duplicate this.
Would I be able to gather how to duplicate it?
You certainly could. Yeah, if you want to stare into this book for a while and then try it out, you could. But the plants that are here, you don't know if they match up to any of the plants you have. So what you think might be, okay, I put a row of flowers here and a bush there, could be I just put a row of bushes here and a flower there. So you could memorize the pattern, but given that you don't know what any of these seeds are, you know that the end result is going to be wildly different.
Let's say we just go for it. At this
Well,
point.
let's just plant them in a
I
V
feel
shape
like
around the
this
altar.
is not the correct course to take. Just end up ruining all of this.
Well, if they grow, we could unearth them and move them.
I don't think our elf
What is
friend
the
has ever
chance that
planted
they will
a
grow too
plant
rapidly
before.
for us to do that?
We should try something rather than waiting any longer. It's been many days since we could have planted them.
Minutes since we've been discussing the seeds. I see no ideas coming from any of you other than let's just do it and see what happens.
To be fair,
Hours searching through the town to see if anybody might know. Jack already said he tried and there was no one in town.
it has kind of worked for us in the past.
Well, what do you say, Dudan? You're supposed to be the leader of this town. You can't
Just-
look like a fool walking around
Aaron
asking how to
Just
plant
takes
seeds.
the seeds and just puts them into Darren's hands and just kind of is rubbing his temples. Go ahead. I will not persuade any of you to do the intelligent thing, so why bother at this point?
Miltern goes, kneels down in the corner, and cries like a witch from Left 4 Dead.
Meneltian is going to be looking through the book again to see if he can glean anything off of it just
Okay.
by extended study.
The seeds are in your hand, Dudarin. What do you want to do?
I'll hand some to Vorak and some to Ivan, keep some, and just go plant them wherever I think might be nice.
Okay. I would like the three of you to please make insight checks.
Yay!
By the way, I'm
functioning
going to
dead.
drop out of this chat, and because I just downloaded the client, I'm going to see if that works any better.
Sounds good. We'll see you in a minute here.
Oh, that's right. We have exhaustion, Vorak.
Yep.
Oh, right. Damn it, I actually had a decent roll.
Da-da-da.
Beat a 13.
That's
beat
not
a
bad.
13. Oh my god.
So 1, a 13. What were yours?
10.
9.
A 10? Okay.
No, I got a 9. It's disadvantage.
Oh my god. Okay.
This
Well,
can only end well.
everybody fumbles around, but Vorok actually does the best. It's kind of in a strange turn of events. The three of you begin to travel around through the area and placing the seeds in the ground. The soil is not cold and barren or frozen like the areas outside of the town's boundaries, and here you're able to kind of push away a bit of topsoil and put the seeds underneath. And as you do so, you note something, that they grow with remarkable speed. By the time that you're planting a few others in a different spot, you can turn back and already see what looks like a very small green shoot from the first seed that you planted. And sooner or later, all of you have placed them in the different areas. Now, I must ask, are you filling all of the rooms, or just the main room, or an area outside?
How many beans do we have?
You guys have, I would say, roughly about like 12 seeds each, maybe.
And how many rooms have we constructed?
I don't remember exactly if you guys described how many rooms it were.
We did
12
not.
Each, though, so we have 36 seeds.
Yes. Yeah,
A
roughly.
few in the outside rooms, focusing on the main room. But
Okay.
We should put some outside too. You know, it might help the town itself grow.
I flipped through the book. Is there anything about placing beans or magic? Are there any plants outside of these temples? Or are they mostly concentrated on the inside?
I see. Okay, so you go and read that while your companions place them around. And
I'm gonna try to instruct people to put them in like a V shape around the altar, if anyone's listening.
does anybody heed his request?
Like with
Do
the
I-
point of the V where the altar is, and like it comes out to the sides.
Do I notice him doing this?
Obviously.
Vorak, stop!
Well, it's a V for Valoo. The book said we can do what we wanted with it.
Meneltiern just looks up into the sky.
I leave that to you, Vorak.
This is not a good idea.
No, don't worry. Just make sure you give them the proper care. And before I put each seed in, I'm just gonna like whisper to it, like you're gonna grow into a big, strong plant.
Oh, that's fucking beautiful. Okay. Given that all of your rolls were fairly average in total, I'm gonna roll luck, and we'll see how it is that it turns out.
Beautiful, right?
Well, fucking straight average with an 11.
I mean,
It's the most average Temple of Eridan that's ever been
It's-
constructed.
Hell yeah!
I mean,
Okay.
our luck rolls last week were utter fucking garbage, so I'll take it.
As you three finish planting your seeds and sort of step back there, Meneltiern, you can see that the magic in these seeds is taking work, and as you look up from your book, you can see that you are now in a room which is fast becoming populated by greenery. What do you guys want to do?
Meneltiern is just gonna kind of observe it and continue reading and observe and read, and also occasionally look off to the forest to see if like planting the seeds have somehow summoned the druids.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
Put like one or two in like the smaller rooms and maybe some outside.
Yeah, I suppose we'd probably like look, and if they're shooting up pretty fast, see if they're growing a bit at all, and try to leave some space so that it's not like all overgrown into one big thick area.
Yeah, it seems like they grow like an inch every maybe like 10 seconds. So you'll spread them out everywhere?
Yeah, give them some room to be able to
Okay.
grow. Do any of the seeds look different? Or are they all? Or, I mean, are there any like duplicates?
Ah. Many of the seeds are duplicates, but you do have a number of different ones.
So I suppose we'd keep some of the duplicate ones like together
Okay,
for as like little patches.
sure. Yeah, Vorok knows something about gardening. So he can't just put these everywhere. So, as the four of you eventually step back here, Meltyr, will you take the book with you or leave it on the altar?
I'll take it with me at this moment.
Okay. The four of you are standing there as you watch, and these green shoots begin to turn into proper plants. You see one of them begins to kind of curl on itself, and then other little sprigs come off of it, small branches, which soon have leafy offshoots. Whereas others seem to turn into vines that start to warble around and wrap themselves on the walls. One of them begins to look something like a tree of some sort, which has a very gnarled and strange structure. Its bark curves in one direction, then another, and then another, and it becomes obvious why it is that these temples often don't have roofs, as the tree just starts to go above the actual threshold here. And you notice that there's some people from the town that are starting to pay attention now. What do you guys want to do? Are you going to keep watching it?
Meneltirn will.
Yeah, I'm assuming Vork's never seen plants grow this fast and be pretty amazed.
Okay.
Watch for a while.
The tree continues to grow, and so too do the other plants around it. And another one you see here grows like perfectly straight and then begins to extend out. And you watch as it has like a cracking noise almost, like it's straining against the wall which is near to it. And then you just hear as a bunch of pieces of wood just like push out to the side and fall to the ground. And what looks like an incredibly formidable like cherry tree just overtakes that area and busts through like half of the wall. This seed was obviously planted too close to it. By the time that the whole thing is done, there is a tree which extends roughly about 4 or 5 feet above the highest edge of these walls, and the rest of it is just a mess of different plants, some of which are arranged in a way that's actually kind of aesthetically pleasing. It looks like you could take a nice garden walk through here. Other bits are just completely unkempt, and it's like, this is completely inaccessible. What is this doing here?
Mediocre at best.
I hope they don't care about the wall.
Something tells me they don't very much care about the walls.
Interestingly enough, the portion of wall which is knocked out by this cherry tree then begins to swell with fortune, and the tree begins to produce little red fruits on it.
I go over and look. Do they look like cherries?
Yeah, they do. They look like they're ripe too. They start off green for a second, and 2 moments later, it's like these could be edible.
I'm not touching them.
I go. The temple is on like the edge of the encampment, correct?
Yes, towards the forest.
So I go towards the edge of the temple that's by the like closest to the edge of the forest that's within the encampment. I don't want to look out in that direction to see if I see anything coming.
Make a perception check.
Dun, dun, dun.
Good rolls.
No.
More mental tier 1s. Here we go, boys.
How? What
Okay.
the fuck?
Well, if there was time to roll a 20, it was now.
I fucking hate this game. Where was my 20 when I wanted a death laser?
Okay, well, you stare off into the distance, and it's incredibly difficult to see given all of the snow, but you think that you actually see figures in the forest. Maybe they're just animals, maybe they're people, but there's something moving in there. Something stirs.
If I think I see animals and people, that equals druids.
People animals. Whoop, 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 whoop.
I go back to the to where everyone else is observing the growth, and I say, I believe the druids are coming.
Well, I hope they like the temple.
Perhaps.
I hope
Maybe
we
some
can-
parts better than others. If they're not quite as pleased, they are certainly more than welcome to add their own touch to it.
And they might be able to fix whatever we did wrong.
I think I gave the cherry seed too much love and it grew too big.
I'm sure that's it. You love the seed too much.
There are some impressive looking cherries, though, Vora.
Can I reach any of the cherries?
You certainly can.
Touch this.
I just want to pick off like a one or two cherries and say,
I want to stop him.
well, it looks like we have our food problem under control.
Please no, let me stop him.
I mean, I don't know how far away Darren is, but I'm going to attempt to eat one.
Okay. Let's see here. I'd like a dexterity check from you. Are you gonna actually still go for it, Malantine, if you notice that Dudarin is trying to stop you?
I'll just, if I see him running towards me, instinctually I'm going to get out of the way.
Okay. Go ahead and make a dexterity check there, Dudarin. Disadvantage, of course, given your exhaustion. Ah, yes.
5.
Okay, you run out to go and stop him, but you kind of stumble at first, and it's too late. You watch as Meneltyr takes one of these cherries and eats it. It tastes rather good, Meneltyr. Sweet.
Rather good.
They're gonna be so mad at you.
No!
This is how I imagine this going on. At least attempting to. Are there seeds in these cherries?
There are.
I spit out the seed.
Okay.
What's wrong, Darren?
I just look at him horrified.
They're cherries.
From magic seeds given to us by druids that wanted us to plant them and not fuck with their forest.
You hear what sounds like the caw of a mighty hawk, and from up above you see what looks like maybe an eagle or some sort of falcon that flies above.
I wave. Give him a little wave.
I step away from Meneltyr.
Take
What,
him
do you
first.
think they know that I ate a cherry?
Yes.
Melchior just sighs. I also take the seed of that cherry and I try to plant it somewhere else
Ah, okay.
and see what happens.
You're able to do so, but the plant doesn't seem to grow at the same speed and just stays under the ground like it would if it were just a normal seed.
Just shrug my shoulders. Was worth a shot.
You see, moments later, that through the snow, there is a group of people traveling towards the temple. There's maybe a dozen people and animals coming towards you. People wearing their familiar greenish robes, and the animals all different assortments from wolves to bears to squirrels and the like.
Is there an owl?
Is there an owl with them? It's a good question. Who knows?
A large owl?
There's no
That-
owl with them.
Oh.
Vork
Sorry,
will look
Vork.
disappointed.
As they come towards you here, you can see that the town is now kind of watching from behind, keeping what looks like a safe distance as these strange people come out of the forest and wander up to the temple. And as these green-robed figures come towards you, you note that the majority of the animals simply pay you no heed and then wander into the different walled rooms of the temple, going in between the plants. One of the men in green robes turns to you and says, "Came."
So, what do you think?
He looks over his shoulder for a brief moment and stares at it. The rest do as well. And then turn back and he says, "Is this the best you could do?" Uncomfortable laughter.
It's a good thing Metalturn has a mask on right now. 'Cause the only way I could describe his face would be like, oh, come on.
There's like a horrible eye twitch and there's like a vein popping out or something.
Mhm. I mean, we did the best we could. We looked through this tome of Erudin and attempted to recreate and plant accordingly. I think, all things considered, I think this is a very nice temple.
You hear somebody else speak from the behind of the group there, and he says, "Amateur." You hear another voice. Someone says, "I like this one," and a green-robed figure steps in through the first wall there, and then with like a long sleeve, kind of points at the cherry tree, which has massacred one of the walls that you spent so long building. And you see a bunch of nods kind of come out from everybody.
Good job, Borok.
Just give him a thumbs up.
I mean, how else could we make this to your liking?
You must learn to tend for these plants like we tend for the forest. Not manage to move these into a more kempt and pleasing fashion, then it'll be obvious that you have no, let's say, right to have the bounty of nature at your fingertips.
Well, we will certainly do our best. I can assure you that. Now that we know what each seed is, I think we can likely do better. Although
A voice
I
comes
don't-
from the back end here and says, "You're supposed to feel what the seeds will be."
I'm not a druid.
Another one
I
goes,
did my best
"Amateur."
to feel. I did my best to feel the seeds. I'm sorry.
The lead here kind of sighs for a second, almost synchronously with you, and he says, "Look, we shall return to the forest and come back in a few days' time. You can tidy up this place, then we will see about negotiations. Until now, this is farewell." And he
there
turns around and
is-
just starts to leave.
There is one matter that I would like to, at the very least, alert you to, as I do believe it could, well, affect your forest.
Make a persuasion check and do so with advantage, please. Since you just talked about a man's forest.
Look, it
Maybe-
does involve his forest.
We not have this discussion in front of townsfolk.
They're all behind you. Oh my god,
Wow.
the fucking what? Okay.
Wow, that's I mean, that's an 11.
Perhaps advantageous to you, Dudairn, the figures just continue walking. You hear one person says, "Another time," and the druids begin to leave with their animals
Can I
behind
stop one of them real quick, like the closest one to me, and just tell them, please tell my owl friend to watch out for armies of skeletons.
them. Jesus fuck.
I would like, and I would like to run up, trying to keep pace with like the lead druid, and I'm just gonna kind of whisper into him that there is an army of undead approaching.
Okay, so first off there, Vorok, as you stop one of the druids turns to you and says, What do you mean?
Well, we got attacked on the road by some skeletons. I'd hate for my owl friend to get attacked by them.
He looks over at another hooded figure who, in turn, looks at him, and soon, Mendeltirn, you're up towards the leader here. What do you say exactly?
The thing I want in a hushed tone, so that it's hard to hear from far away, but that he can hear. I just want to say, I just want you to know that there is likely or possibly an army of undead heading in this direction. They could go into your forest. We're not entirely sure. We're working on it.
Turns to you and he says, Let us be. There's no chance that your accusations are even remotely correct. Me and...
They're not accusations. I'm simply transferring information to you.
If there were an army of undead prowling through the lands, we would know.
Oh. So there isn't?
Goodbye, sir.
Goodbye. I turn around and I just say to myself, this could be very good news.
The group leaves, and the animals follow. And eventually the one that you had grabbed there, Vorok, kind of just looks like he's giving you a confused look as he then rejoins the group, and they all head off.
Just before he leaves, just with like a very concerned look on my face, I just want to say, if you do get into trouble, you tell the owl to come find Vorok.
He gives you what looks like a worried nod and then runs off.
While they were doing that, I was want to like turn around and mayhaps distract the townsfolk by showing them the temple.
Ah, so you greet for them to come and look through it?
Yes.
Okay. The townsfolk, are, they're quick to take up this offer, and many of them have gathered from the point where they watched magical seeds grow, and now to inspect everything up close is clearly causing some sort of positive pandemonium, and many people start to make their way through the temple and look around at the different rooms and whatnot. It's obvious that they're having trouble traveling through some parts of it, given how amateurish a lot of this was, but it is rather nice and kind of an interesting sight to see a temple which is more or less made up of plants.
Watching, as I turn around from that conversation and looking at the townsfolk, would I be able to kind of see if any of them in particular are kind of like looking around like, that should obviously go over there? Like if someone has a knack for kind of plants or aesthetics.
Oh, you mean from the townsfolk?
Yes.
Ah, you could study the townsfolk.
Mm-hmm. What would that be?
So, getting back here, I would say you're trying to catch what they're thinking and kind of see what they're paying attention to. So I'd probably go perception.
Okay. Okay, that's a 15.
15. Okay.
Yep.
Looking at some of the different townsfolk, you can see what their qualms are, and you notice that there's one room that gets a little bit less traffic than the others, and one person kind of looks at the culprit, a bush that is clearly out of place here, or at least has grown too much towards one side, and you take note of this.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Take note of the bush and the town's person who noticed it.
Okay. Darren, you've let everybody in, and people are giving this a look, but the rest of you are all kind of clumped together. Now Meneltern and Vorak have made their way back from the Druids, and the Druids have escaped back towards their forest. What do the four of you guys want to do? Are you guys chit-chatting about anything, or?
I'm gonna approach the townsperson who was looking at the bush.
Okay.
Hello. May I have a moment of your time?
Oh, I guess.
Meneltern is like he didn't realize that Vorak and Dudarin weren't the stupidest people that he knew. Like a kind of sad realization about the world just kind of washes over him. Or at least he's assuming so. He's very racist.
New rock bottom.
hmm It's like, wow, dude, Darren and Vorak are rather intelligent. I know. I saw you passing through the rooms and looking at a couple things. Do you have any suggestions for improving the temple?
Yeah, that bush there is in the wrong spot.
Where would you put it?
More to the right.
More to the right. Interesting. Meneltern writes this down on a piece of paper in his hand. Any other improvements, perhaps? Would you like to maybe, stay with us for a moment and perhaps help us improve the layout of the temple?
Make a persuasion check, please.
Oh,
See if
boy.
Meneltern just found the first gardener.
Of course it would be Country Bumpkin. That's 13.
Perfectly mediocre. He says, well, I'd have to think about it.
How long do you need to think about it? We need this answer rather soon. Wait a minute, hold on. Can you give me 1 second? I just want to see if something. Where are you? I just need to see if a certain spell.
Oh no!
Leaves the person knowing that.
Oh no!
Um,
We've been down this road before.
Making a bad feeling.
as people leave, I will ask
My
them if they
mental
have any
sense is
suggestions.
tingling. Oh no, this is gonna be bad. Or great.
Okay, as people are leaving, you're in a what? Sorry, Dudarin?
Asked if they have any suggestions for improvement.
Comment cards. Get a little
Oh.
box.
Okay,
I
sure.
also ask if they have any gardening tools. Everyone as they leave.
So people in earnest will give you their opinion, since you hold a very particular station, Dudarin. I'm going to roll once to see if they give you any useful advice, and if the roll is particularly bad, they will give you poor advice, though you will not really be able to distinguish from it, and if the roll is good, it'll be good. And then I'll make another roll for tools. Maybe someone has gardening tools laying around. The first roll. Okay. Second roll. Okay. You get a bunch of suggestions. You're not sure what to really make of them. Go ahead and roll insight for me.
Five.
You have no idea what to make of these. However, there is some good news. It appears as people are exiting and you ask them, a few people tell you that they do have gardening equipment, and beyond that, they offer to bring it over towards the temple if you need it, as they obviously have no need for it right now.
I gladly accept.
Okay?
Now, I'm reading this.
Here we go. It's
Does-
magic time.
Maybe it might be magic time on a very key issue.
Uh-oh.
When you cast suggestion, does the person know that you've suggested it? Do they know that they've been magically, charmed?
Let me give that a look.
Because I'm looking at it and it doesn't say it, outright like charmed person does, where it says when the spell ends, creature knows it's been charmed by you. But I can't see if it if the person would know, and if that's the case, how would you rule it?
So you want to know if it would know that you've suggested this to it.
Correct.
And the alternative would be that it was like a compulsion that kind of came out of nowhere.
I don't know what you mean.
Okay. As far as I can tell from the spell, I think that the way I would rule it is that they would basically know that you suggested it to them, though they wouldn't be aware that magic had taken place. Right? So
Right.
it would be like you suggested to them, hey, bring me that frying pan, and they'd bring you the frying pan, and then if inquired about it later, they would say, well, yeah, he asked for it and I handed it to him. Like they wouldn't be any of the wiser that you had just cast a spell on them. Now,
Okay.
that being said, if it fails and the person, if the spell doesn't take hold, it doesn't say that they know, so it probably just washes over and nothing happens.
Okay. In that case,
I'll read up
will.
on it and we might amend that, but I think that's how it is.
That's how we'll rule it for this,
For this one at
instance.
the very least.
Yes, I will cast suggestion, and as he's kind of thinking about leaving, I'm gonna say, you should help us with the temple for a few days.
Oh god. What save is he making here?
This is I believe a wisdom saving throw.
Of 13?
DC 13.
Here we go, boys. He's not a wise man.
I wouldn't imagine so. I wouldn't imagine someone who talks like this.
But
would
with
be
an
a very
18, he
wise man.
passes.
God fucking damn it.
That's
He
what
said-
you get for stereotyping.
He says, well, I'm gonna have to think about it.
Well,
Thanks for the offer, though. Does it come with good pay?
can I could offer you a decent amount of money.
Well, that sounds decent.
How does a few silver a day sound?
He says 1 gold piece a day, and I'll do it. I'll be your new
1
gardener.
gold piece a day. That's hardly what I paid the people to construct the building for. I can offer you 5 silver.
He says, well, look, you obviously don't know where this bush is supposed to go, so...
You said it should go to the right.
Exactly.
Oh, well, now I know.
Okay, well, you don't know what's wrong with those. And he points over at some vines that are on the wall.
You don't even know what's wrong with those. Trying to get him to divulge more of his gardening expertise.
He says 8 silver.
Can't go that high.
He turns away and leaves. He says,
Okay,
while he's
okay.
parting, well, that's a good offer, but I'm gonna have to pass.
Okay. 8 silver.
Well, I don't know. Now I think it's a whole gold piece.
We just went over this. I cannot afford to pay you a whole gold piece per day. I can hardly afford to pay you 8 silver.
That's what you said about the silver, but now you're offering to pay it to me.
If you will not help, that is fine. Though the town will not have its food problem solved then.
Well, think it over.
I go, I will, and I just give him a glare through my mask.
He turns away and leaves to go back into the town. At this point,
as he does, I turn back to the group to walk towards him and just go, fucking simpleton.
a few people bring some tools over towards you, and you have a sizable collection of different items like small spades and things like that, which could come in handy for the garden. A couple of shears and some clippers, that sort of thing. The four of you are here, and there's townsfolk, here and there, but they largely kind of give you your space.
As they're coming up, I say, does anybody have gardening experience that they could help?
Are you asking the townsfolk?
Yeah, as they come up and bring their equipment. I would assume that if they had it, they knew how to use it.
You see that some of them have these items through other means, but yes, indeed, a couple of people, your question gives them pause, and they stop there and go, "Oh, well, yes, I had a garden back in my hometown."
Would you be willing to help with the temple for a few days?
Well, maybe.
This would help to secure food for the entire encampment.
Persuasion check, please.
These motherfuckers better help me, unlike that goddamn son of a bitch, hick redneck.
Meanwhile, I'm thanking everyone personally for bringing tools.
I'll probably start taking the tools and start on that bush, see if I can move it over.
That's an average 11.
Okay.
Talking and carefully moving our new plans here.
Carefully moving your what?
It's kind of like shifting things over as we see that they didn't grow in the right spot.
Oh, I see. Okay. So you're gonna start doing some of the gardening work yourself now.
Is that the best idea?
You note that the people seem to be somewhat open to your idea, Meneltirn, but ultimately, the two that seem to have some experience, when you ask them, they respectfully decline.
May I ask them why they decline?
Ah. They mostly hum and haw, and it seems like they're being evasive. Roll insight.
These motherfuckers want money.
It's because they know Vork can outgarden anyone in town.
I'm sure that's the reason.
The greenest
That's
thumbs
a-
in the West.
That's a 16.
16? Oh. You're actually able to kind of catch their fears and what it is that's keeping them from it. It's the druids. They're intimidated by them and don't want to have any cause with that. You see every now and then like a glance that goes off towards the forest and is a little bit more telling than you'd think. And
Right.
that seems to be that. For these people, it's less money, unlike that other one that you had talked to.
Greedy motherfucker. I call over
One
to
gold.
Darren. That is more than he needs.
You had 200.
I don't care what I have.
Could use the town fund.
Listen, we use that for construction materials.
On a food seems like a pretty important thing.
Shut up, Darren. I called Darren over to kind of, and as he comes over, and I tell the two who are kind of humming and hawing to just wait for a moment, and I just kind of like grab him by the shoulder and I say, these two have gardening experience, yet they do not wish to help because they fear the druids. Do you think you would be able to, I don't know, help me persuade them into, assisting us for a little while? You seem to have a way with the simple folk of this encampment.
Well, the druids aren't going to hurt us for cutting a plant
Right.
the wrong way.
I understand. Well, they might, but that's another matter. The point being, we need to convince them of that.
I got this.
Uh-oh.
Meneltirn is a little worried when he says it like that with that much confidence, but he's gonna trust him.
Okay.
And and he turns back to the people, and he waits for Dudarin to do whatever it is he has planned.
What is it that Dudarin does?
I walk over to the people. Meltier told me you have some concerns.
Well, the two of them nod.
I just want you to know that everything will be fine. I'll handle it if anything goes wrong. You are in no danger.
I want you to roll a persuasion check. You would have advantage, but because of your ability thing, you are just doing a normal roll.
Hey, when they brought that
Malcolm,
stuff, was there any gardening hats?
What was that
are there
again?
gardening hats?
Or
Persuasion?
question.
No.
Let me see here.
That persuasion?
Yes.
That is a 12.
12. Okay. And to answer your question, Vorak, yes, there is a gardening hat, though it's shoddy and there's like a couple little holes in it.
I'm definitely wearing it.
Oh god. Okay. You don this little gardening hat, and meanwhile, that was a 12, you said?
Correct.
Yeah.
Don't make that sound.
They don't look to be perfectly sold on it, and one of them says, "How can you protect us from the forests? Those druids, they can take any form they want. People say they have terrible magics at their fingertips. I don't want to mess with their plans."
Well, see, I have this. Damn you for doing that voice. It's making my accent come through.
Yes.
Embrace it.
Well, I have the ability to see through disguises. Much like I did with the genie when we came into town. They won't be sneaking up on us, that's for sure.
The two pause for a second and whisper amongst one another, and then eventually turn towards you and agree. And they say that they will help at least for the next couple of days with the temple.
Meneltiern just like a inside, like trying to play it down as much as possible, like a fist in the air, like yes, he did something right.
I thank them both and give them a big hug.
Okay. You do the team power hug here, and the two of them look like they're not really sure how to take it at first, but then go to find the gardening equipment nearby.
See, Meltier, and you just gotta be nice and understanding.
I think I'll leave that to you.
Whatever floats your boat.
Meanwhile, Vorak's wearing the fucking gardening hat.
While starting to tend to the garden.
Okay. If you're gonna go and work on the garden, and Ivan, I don't know about you, but I thought you were gonna do that as well, the two of you should probably do some rolls.
Uh-oh.
Some insight, please.
Here.
Oh
Ah!
no.
Double fours.
That's no mods, that's 4 either way.
Okay. Vorak, you go to set to work here, and it's not a moment where you're not really sure of your work. You know that you have fucked up and accidentally cut a little bit too much off of something, leaving it look like it's not growing in the right direction, but now just kind of crippled. And meanwhile, what did you get there, Ivan?
16.
16? Ah, okay.
16.
You get to tidy up one of the spots, and the garden begins to look a little bit nicer in this part. All in all, you guys have more or less made it slightly better, slightly worse, just in different areas.
So it's not better or worse.
Exactly. There's just less plants.
Can I, in this time, look through the book, and I want to look for anything pertaining to the opening of a new temple and anything that would be ceremonial to do in that instance. Something that could just add a little bit more pizzazz to help the druids get on board with this.
There's but a single line, and it mentions that to open a new temple, the only thing that's really required in ritual is the planting of the first seeds.
Mm.
Your
They
two
weren't
companions
too happy
here,
with that.
or gardeners rather, they go to work, and whoa, that's a 2 and a 3. The struggle is real.
Motherfuckers.
The temple around you is falling apart.
Evidently. Am I able to go around and fix people's fuck ups?
No, because alterations to plants are basically permanent, so no, you cannot. You watch around you as Ivan and Vorok and the two gardeners set to work, and slowly the overall look of the temple improves a little bit here and improves a little bit there, and then starts to go downhill overall.
I get Ivan and I say, Ivan, we need to fix a lot of these mistakes. And as plant alterations
That's what
are
I'm doing.
typically in one direction, I think perhaps mending might be able to be used in this instance.
Give it a go.
Does mending work on organic material?
Unfortunately, it does not.
Says who?
Pretty silly official
God damn
documentation.
it.
It says me in the Grimoire. There is a spell out there that does work on plants. It's called Druidcraft.
Ah, Druidcraft. Do we have any druids in our midst?
Oh boy. Well, as you finish doing a little bit of work here, Darren, you can see this as well. As the gardeners set about and Meneltiran goes talking to the four of them, you watch as the whole thing starts to shift, get a little better, a little bit worse, and then a little worse, and a little worse. What do you guys want to do?
Worse.
I'm gonna leave.
Leave?
I'm no help here.
Okay. Where are you going to?
Probably sleep. Sounds
Okay.
nice.
Yeah, it's been a
Seven.
long day. Fuck. Okay, so you go back to your camp, and the rest of you, what are you guys gonna do?
Meneltiran would probably start going through the book to see what is the proper way to restore a temple that has been damaged, because he trusts books at this point more than people.
It says that you must properly tend to the plants, trimming them from their overgrown areas. Kind of like what you see taking place right here, but they are clearly butchering it.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell them to kind of stop a little bit for the time being.
The
And
two gardeners pause immediately. Vorok and Ivan, that's up to you.
I've given up on them at this point. Lost cause. At least these people have some modicum of restraint.
Okay.
What I'm going to be looking to... Can I recall any other plants in the encampment?
Any other
Naturally
plants
growing.
in the encampment?
Mm-hmm.
You've seen a little tuft of grass here and there.
Tuft of grass?
Yeah, but it's otherwise
Not like
bare.
a bush or anything?
No, like the town itself is more or less just on warm soil. So, yeah, you're kind of out of luck there.
I take it you two have been out of practice for a while, considering there not being any plants in the encampment. Yes?
Stop for a second, I'll look around. Trying to notice that things are getting a bit worse. Well, Perhaps I do need some rest. I've not had sleep since I've traveled back with Dudairn. We could always come back and look at this again with fresh eyes in the morning.
The two gardeners here nod when you say this.
Yes, go get some rest, I suppose.
Perhaps the parts we've wrecked will grow back overnight. We can only hope.
Meneltiern just like gives him like a look like, you goddamn son of a bitch.
The two gardeners leave, and the three of you are left here at the temple. It seems as though Dudarin has wandered off towards the camp, and you've seen him disappear beyond one of the tents.
I'll hang up my gardener's hat for now and leave the temple until tomorrow morning.
Okay. How
Um,
about the other two?
heading over to
Right
the
here.
makeshift altar that we have.
Yes.
I'm taking out a piece of paper. Basically, a very rudimentary sketch. I kind of want to get an idea of where all the plants are and then take what we have and kind of think about where would be best to kind of like move things around and do it on paper first before even getting near anything, as I can see what that has led us to do.
Ah. And you're gonna just try and recreate one of the pictures in here?
I'm gonna kind of use the pictures in the book as like a guide of how to aesthetically move things around. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So while you go ahead and start scribbling this down here by the altar on a piece of parchment, and Vorok, you retire back to the camp. Ivan, are you going back to the camp as well?
Right now.
No, okay. So,
Or what time of day?
it's probably like late in the afternoon, evening's coming around. You could go to bed given how crazy everything's been if you wanted. If you wanted to do stuff, there'd still be a few daylight hours left.
I'm gonna go head over to that new group.
Oh, Kenneth, the merchant and his men,
And,
and the shady
ask
dwarf.
him if he has any. The shady dwarf. Middle tier. See if they have any
Huh?
followers of Erden among them.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. Me and that dwarf, we were cordial. He completed some work for a decent wage, and we left it at that. Not like that greedy hillbilly who wanted tons of gold for all this gardening.
Unfortunately, as you ask around Kenneth's camp, it seems that nobody worships Eridan here.
Right after that, I'll head off and start getting some rest.
Okay. So, night goes by, and all of you wake the next morning feeling well and rested. For those of you who have suffered the effects of exhaustion, you can now remove that. Dudarin, Vorok, you are feeling much better. The next day is upon you. A blizzard continues to flurry about beyond the confines of the city's boundaries, and off in the distance is a unkempt and somewhat massacred temple of plants.
I'll probably head over there first thing in the morning.
Nice. Okay, you get up early and head over there.
As will I. I will already be at the temple before he
Okay.
gets there, if at all. I would have slept at the temple, actually. Meneltiern, this is his prime concern at the moment.
Vorok, you note something. As you get up early and head over towards the temple, you're not the only one there. There are 3 familiar people, 2 guards, and Jack, who stands nearby with a cup of tea and gazes upon the temple. His head tilts to the side, much like a dog would do when it's trying to understand a command. He looks puzzled.
Understand the work of madmen.
Well, good morning.
Oh, Vorok, it's good to see you.
And you as well. Admiring our work, I guess. We
Sure.
didn't do the greatest job.
Well, I must admit it seems a little bit difficult on the eyes at first.
Yes, our hope is to clean that up somewhat today.
It's a nice way of putting it.
Well, I thought I'd come and speak to you early. I meant to chat with you all during the other day, but I got lost in my work and ended up falling asleep faster than I thought.
Yes, I was in need of sleep myself. I understand. But what is it that you wanted to speak to us about?
Well, if you can pass it on to the rest of your group, Vark, that'd be great, but
Oh no.
to be perfectly honest, I don't really think that I have any perfect plan here. I haven't heard anything of this army of undead. The militia has said nothing. And I think Meneltyrn's idea, though interesting, is far out of reach. And the druids, well, I'm not sure what to expect from them, he says as he goes and looks over at the temple. And then he says, and the portal continues to be unstable, so...
Table talk. I don't know if anyone's actually even told me about this portal.
Probably not.
Okay. Well, that's
Just gonna
awkward.
scratch my head. What do you mean portal?
Oh. Vorok looks around. Or sorry, Jack looks around to see if there's anybody else here. Is anybody else getting up early in the morning to go and do this?
Meneltyrn is there.
Yes, you're asleep in the temple.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably trying to get as much sleep as I can, considering the past few days.
Okay. How about you, Ivan?
Getting some rest since I think it's been a busy day.
Okay. He looks around and then seeing nobody immediately he turns back to you, Vorok, and he says, don't worry about it, Vorok. Best of luck with your gardening.
Don't worry
alright,
about it,
well,
Borak.
I suppose I will let you worry about that. You wouldn't happen to know much about gardening, would you?
Heavens,
Have any
no,
books,
no.
perhaps?
No. Yeah, have a good day. He turns and
I
walks
give him
away.
a puzzled look as he leaves. And then now I'll throw on my gardening hat, and then
In the first
Being-
room, you find sleeping on the ground is Meneltyrn.
Meditating.
I'll put my hat on him and just kind of poke him.
I rouse from slumber. Yes.
So, good morning, Meneltyrn.
Good morning. Wait a minute.
Are you?
Vorok, don't touch anything.
Well, why
Sorry, I got
not?
the hat on.
The last time you tried to, and he puts up his hands and air quotes, fix the temple, you ended up making it much worse. I'm going to attempt to make alterations on paper that we can then act out in a more managed way, hopefully to a better effect.
While the two of you chat and the rest of your companions sleep, two gardeners show up in the doorway here, and soon join you.
Good morning. Before we begin, I wish to go over some plans that I've been working on.
Well, fair enough. What are these plans?
Okay, so walking over to the altar, what kind of is it insight because of how hippy dippy this garden is to figure out and lay out a plan for where things should go?
If you're just going to duplicate the arrangement that's on the piece of paper, then you can already have that worked out. But if you're trying to determine which plants should go where, then yeah, that's going to be insight.
Okay, I'm gonna attempt to.
Here we go, boys.
I think I'm gonna do one of these. Best choice ever. 21.
Okay. You have come up with an elaborate way of rearranging the plants here. Almost all of them appear to be moved during this plan, and laid out on the paper is exactly how it is that you want them to then be set back into the ground.
Mm-hmm. And I show them this, and I say I think this is the best possible arrangement. I think it will utilize all of the maimed plants in a suitable way, as well as making the rest of the temple more appealing to the druid.
I think we could make this work. I guess we won't be so hasty with the clippers today.
No.
The two gardeners nod. They seem to understand roughly what it is that you're looking for. Do you guys want to try it?
I would also like to help them
Okay.
this time.
I need everyone to make a dexterity check. Sleight of hand, specifically. Your gardeners rolled perfectly mediocre, so let's hope you've got something.
I got perfectly mediocre, I believe. Because that's a 9.
Damn it! I got shit.
I got perfectly
4.
mediocre. I got 9.
I got shit.
Does it help if I go
We ain't
super
got shit.
slow and take my time?
Yeah, no, it's fine. So, all of you guys, take your time as best you can. And one after another, plants are removed from the ground, though at one point, you're pulling up a bush from outside here to rearrange it, and Vorok, as you're doing so, you hear like a ripping sound and notice that you have torn up a bunch of its roots. You're not sure if the plant will survive fine afterwards. There's no telling, but hopefully it'll survive. By the end of the day, you will be done this task. It's going to take quite a while to basically uproot all the plants and put them in new spots. Back in the camp, the three of you wake up, the two of you wake up, Ivan and Dudairn, after sleeping in quite a bit. It's the afternoon. Your exhaustion is gone, and given yesterday's events, it feels nice to get up a little bit later. What do you guys want to do?
I'm gonna head over to the temple now and see what's going on.
Okay. When you get over there, you can see that there's a great plan that is in full swing. People are taking plants out of the ground and putting them in new holes that have already been dug. Dudairn, what are you up to?
I want to speak with Jack about a little plan.
Ah, okay. So off at the
Is
temple.
it a death laser? Because that's already my plan. No stealing.
Swiper, no swiping.
It involves the portal, but not a death laser.
Damn.
Okay. So, back over at Jack's tent, you make your way over there, Dudairn. It's the afternoon, and after a summons, the guard mentioned for you to go in and speak with him. Are you gonna head on?
Yep.
Okay. Jack looks over and says, Dudairn, good to see you. What is it?
Do you know anything about the Red Queen other than what we discussed yesterday?
I must confess, I don't know much about her. I know that she's said to be a passionate one at the very least. Why?
Do you think she would be powerful enough to end winter?
Oh, that's a big question today. I'm not certain. I've never seen anything like this. I don't know if the gods are even to blame, though people seem to be convinced that that is the case.
Well, it's a chance I'm willing to take, but I know she wants to kill me.
Tell me the story again. Why is it exactly she wants to kill you?
Now, out of character, I don't remember exactly. I know it involved Theo.
I'm pretty sure it involves destroy or
Oh yeah, the
one of her
yeah, I
altars.
remember now. I remember now.
The altar and then
Oh.
Long Flame.
Before Valoo burned down, there was a altar in the woods with a fiery creature living inside of it. If I remember right, I ended up destroying the altar because I thought it would be a threat to the town.
I see. Well, that would be enough to attract the negative attention of one as easily to anger as the Red Queen.
And then the town, well, got absorbed by the plane of fire. So it might be my fault.
Should this be the case, I don't know. I see where you're going with this, Dudairn. If you want to ask her for help, there's no real telling how much she might be able to. I don't know if it will yield any results. Don't plan to go through the portal, do you?
I'm thinking about it.
Well, if you do, let me know. Leave me a note or something.
That much I can promise.
No, there's no telling what'll be on the other side.
I expect a lot of fire.
True.
Oh, certainly death.
I saw the temple, by the way.
It's a work in progress.
Do you think the druids will come around?
I have no idea. It's one reason I'm
This army of
thinking about
undead.
venturing.
Ugh. Winter, then this, the druids.
Told you trouble followed us.
And your promise has, well, certainly been kept. Just wish things were a little bit easier sometimes. Well, whatever it is that you choose to do, Dudairn, let me know.
That I will. I will make my exit.
Okay. Are you headed to the temple?
Yeah.
Okay. You and Ivan are standing on the outside here as you watch 4 people go ahead and carefully try to uproot plants and place them down in other spots. All the work that's laid out here looks like it might take a little while. And by the time that the late afternoon has turned into early evening, everybody is finished. It looks very good, actually. And now that everything has been more or less rearranged, it's actually quite pretty, though it's clear to anybody who's looked at the book that it's very similar to one of the designs in it.
I did my best.
Plagiarized in another druid's work.
How will they know? I bet they don't even write books. They don't want to cut down trees to make paper, right?
We'll see if the teacher notices.
Looking at the plant or the bush that Vorok mangled, would I be able to gather that with like very meticulous and attentive care that it would be able to, come back to full force?
Without nature proficiency, no, you have no idea of telling whether or not the plant is gonna look fine right now, but is actually gonna die, or what its condition is.
Okay. I'm going to get one of the gardeners, and I'm just going to tell them, look after this plant. I don't know if it's going to die or not, but the goal is to tend the garden consistently until we find someone who can do that. We at least need to make sure that this particular bush doesn't die, because that won't look good to the druids.
The two gardeners swiftly nod when you mention this.
Mm-hmm. Because apart from that bush, the rest of the temple is in, like, all the plants are
Well, even
rooted
that bush
fine
looks
and,
good, because it's the top portion of it looks fine. It's just that in the coming days it might start to wilt and die.
Right.
But for now, everything looks really quite picturesque. Your
Mhm.
your layout turned out really well.
Do we have like water pails or anything like that?
Ah, you do. Yes, you have water at your disposal.
And how are people getting water in the town? Are they just like taking up the snow and bringing it in and letting it melt and then okay.
Yeah, they
Kinda
more or
what I
less heat
figured.
it over fire, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How much wood do we have left, by the way?
Ah. Your group has, I think, enough to make 2 houses worth.
Mm-hmm. Mentalturn is going to look to the entire group and say, I suggest we take some of the remaining wood and construct some sort of basins that we can collect water in so that we may continue to tend to the garden. Wait, what kind of artisans do we have again?
The best kind.
Okay, listen.
You
So we have a
have.
calligrapher, a weaver.
Glassblower.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, a weaver, calligrapher, and a glassblower.
Mentalturn. I don't think Mentalturn knows how to make waterproof water basins. So this is
Water.
water.
Hmm.
Would we be able to figure out how to do that?
Figure out how to make a water basin.
Just like
It's a
a
large bowl.
like a
of
tub,
water.
essentially. Yeah,
Oh.
like a like a large tub that people can shovel snow into, and that would melt inside the like heated area because it's not winter inside here, and that people would then be able to collect water from to water the plants. Is the idea to have a readily available source of water for the temple.
Well, you certainly can fashion these designs in your mind, like an incredibly large, maybe like a well or a very large bowl or like a barrel or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
How you would make those on your own, who knows?
Who knows?
Given that you have no tool proficiencies or anything like that, you could try and work it out on your own, but
Mm-hmm.
it would come down to a little bit of luck and what materials you have.
Mm-hmm.
Can we get our basket weaver to make us some trellises for the vines?
Pretty sweet.
Pretty sweet, pretty dope. Mentalturn is gonna ask Dudarin to. Okay, Dudarin,
Yes.
could you help me construct a barrel? And Ivan, would you be able to fashion some sort of, rings for a barrel that we could use? You have smithing tools, don't you?
What material?
Don't you have some chainmail from those dwarves? Could you not melt that down and fashion it into something?
Melt it down in what? I don't have a forge.
There's the portal, of course. There's a lot of heat coming from there.
Yes, what is this portal? Jack mentioned it.
It's a
The two
rift to the
gardeners
elemental
look
plane.
over at you.
I say it's nothing. I was joking, of course. I was simply making a jest that if we had something like that, that would be very useful.
Roll a deception check, please.
Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. That's a 10, I think.
You think one of them's bought it, and the other one definitely thinks something is up.
When he mentions it was like a joke, I'll just shrug at the two gardeners. Elves, they've got a weird sense of humor.
The other one says, "How do you know he's an elf?"
I just look at Vorok.
Now they're both very suspicious.
He's a wood elf.
Yes, see, Dudarin here told me.
One of the gardeners kind of steps back. You see, he goes, "Okay."
The mask is some kind of family tradition. I don't know.
Meneltern just sits there quietly, hoping not to say anything to fuck this up. He
Who
does
knows
not
what
want to get
elves do?
murdered.
They pause awkwardly, and then one of them says, Do you need any more work done for today?"
Not today. Just make sure to tend the garden and this bush in particular.
Okay, well,
Thank you.
We're gonna head out then. And they leave their tools and wander back into town.
Well, that could have gone better. and at that, I look to Vorok. Vorok, look at me.
Yes, what is it?
Do not ever, under any circumstance, tell anyone that I'm an elf.
Well, I think I've called you elf a few times. I'm sure someone's heard me.
Fine, just not anymore.
You elves and your masks and portal jokes.
Okay,
I don't
look
get
at,
it.
Look, do you understand me, Vorok?
Yes, don't tell anyone that you're an elf.
Okay. Thank you. Back to the matter at hand. Ivan, to Darren, how could we do this?
Neither of them have any fucking idea.
Sure.
Even if we made a barrel, how'd you make it watertight?
Look, we need something to be able to tend to the garden regularly, and obviously singular pails of water, it's going to be too time extensive. We need something larger.
Well, there's lots of people in town that aren't really doing anything. I'm sure they could work to tend to the garden and at least water it. What good are a bunch of citizens that can't work for their food?
Valid
We made a
point,
small
I
pond.
suppose. That might work. We could do it somewhere nearby that people would be able to easily access the water. Can we do that, Illusion? Can we dig a small pond?
You could. Yeah, you can always just dig a hole in the ground. Don't see why not.
What time of
It's
day
something
is
that we
it,
can-
by the way?
It is late in the day, late afternoon, early evening.
Okay.
So you reorganized everything. You had a talk with
Mhm.
Jack. Temple looks good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna walk because we built a temple close
To
to
the
the
north.
northern forest, right?
Yes.
Correct.
It's kind of like in between the forest and the temple. Start not digging, but marking an area that we can kind of try
I
and dig a small pond.
shouting out to Ivan, who is now standing in a blizzard. Ivan, I think maybe inside where the snow will melt might be a better idea.
It's fucking
Just-
elves.
What
I
about a
put
well?
I put my hands up. And I say, just a suggestion.
There's certainly groundwater that's not frozen.
Do we know where that is?
No.
That doesn't very much serve us any use now, does it? Then
Just a thought.
well, to Darren, you are more than welcome to, I suppose, can go dig holes around the encampment in search of water.
Dude, Darren is silent.
Well then, I'm going to tend the garden for the rest of the day. If you need me, I'll be in the temple, and I'll do just that. Taking the pails of water that we have, go through and make sure to water all the plants, as well as just light maintenance if any is needed.
Okay. How about the rest of you?
I will spend the rest of the day with the bush that I wrecked a little bit.
I'm sorry, Bush.
Yeah, apologizing. Honestly, just talking to the bush all day.
Okay, yeah, you'd see if there's anything the bush wants to talk about.
I'll just regale it with some of my previous feats of strength.
Okay. How about
When I
Ivan
get-
and Darren?
Oh no.
If Ivan's digging, I'll assist him.
Next day, I'll start digging out this pond. I think gotta head out here.
That's fair, bud. Well, we're getting close towards the end here. We would probably cut in half an hour, but we can end here if that's cool with everybody.
I mean, you guys can keep going. Ivan will work on digging the pond and just general home improvement style things.
Okay. Well, you sleep
Bye-bye.
tight there, Relic, or have a fun work call, whatever it may be.
Thank you. Have a good one, guys. I'll see you.
See you, Relic.
Adios.
See ya.
What's the plan, folk?
Well,
He's gonna dig the hole.
yeah, Ivan and Darren are digging a hole. I'm tending to the garden.
Okay.
Borak is talking to a bush.
Seems pretty good. So,
Pretty normal.
digging this
Par for the
hole,
course.
are you digging out like a pond, or are you actually trying to dig a well?
A pond.
Okay. So you get a pretty decent start on the pond here. And by the time that evening rolls around, you've got a sizable little hole here in the ground. Vorak, you spent the day trying to make sure that the bush is going to be alright. And meanwhile, Meltir, and you just kind of prune things here and there and try to do what minor things you can to make the place look a little bit better. By the time the evening comes around, the majority of you are probably rather tired from working on the pond, and Mentalturn, you've been doing more physical activity than you would normally do in a day. What do you guys all want to do? Just retire for the night, see what the next day brings?
I'll probably walk around a little bit south of town. Just, keep an eye on things, see if there's anything out there before bed.
Ah. Make a perception check for me, please, Vorak.
Oh my god. That's the straight 10.
As you peer through the snow, looking off towards the south, thinking of what nightmarish darkness you had run into before, you see nothing like that. It is just a barren and cold wasteland.
Alright, well, satisfied that there is no immediate danger, I'll probably come in for the night.
Okay. Is everyone else doing the same?
Yeah, Meneltiern is he's gonna flip through the book on Eridan a little bit more just to kind of brush up on the information on that. So, maybe he can do anything at all to make things go more smoothly with the druids. And then he's going to meditate sleep in the temple again.
Okay. The next day rolls around, and early in the morning, Meneltiern, you're awoken to the sound of the druids returning. They come back towards the camp, and they look over the entirety of the thing here, and you can see that the animals are already in and about the room by the time that you're sort of peeking out of your trance. And
say, good morning.
the druids kind of, for the most part, ignore you, but a couple of them look in your direction and give you a nod as they stare around at everything here. Meanwhile, Vorok and Dudarin, what are you up to? Early in the morning. Are you sleeping in, or are you doing anything?
I'll probably head to the temple first thing.
Okay. How about you, Dudarin?
I guess I'll follow.
Okay. The two of you get to the temple early, and you too find that the druids are just arriving here and looking about through the different rooms. It's really quite different than what it was. When you think back to the amount of changes that have occurred over the last few days, it's been a pretty crazy improvement. Let's see what the druids think of it, however.
Fuck the druids. Goddamn assholes are never happy.
Never are. The druid looks over towards you and says, I've seen this arrangement before.
Uh-huh. And you love it.
Yes, it's a good one.
Meneltiern kind of like quiet sigh, like, whew. So, is the temple to your liking?
Yes, we've worked quite hard on it.
Tis good enough. We can commence negotiations.
Thank God. All right. Well, where should we begin?
The forest is not your place to mess with, and belongs to me and my people. You won't take from it without my word. Otherwise, you'll find that your people never escape from beyond its woods.
Agreed.
And if I remember correctly, in return, you were looking for some kind of help.
In farming, we wish to sustain the population that is here in some way.
That does not suit our purposes.
How do you mean?
If you are to live off of the land, you will not do so like meek farmers. You will hunt.
He means me, not you, Meneltiern.
No, Dvorak, it's not a matter of who, it's a matter of what they're saying in particular. If they're saying we must hunt to survive, the obvious near spot would be the forest, which we have agreed not to enter. The Eastern Barrens will likely not yield much in that department. We were rather hoping that we might be able to farm at least some of our food.
No. It is forbidden. If
To
you are
farm?
Indeed, if you wish to live off of nature's bounty, you will not do it such a sedentary way. We will yield the northern forest to you for food, for all of its foraging, and the creatures that it might offer. But Valu will not become a town that grows fat on fields of wheat and grain.
Okay, I'm not entirely sure what you're asking of us.
Forgive me, Druid, but we've been out in those woods in our first encounter. There's not much in the way of animals. What are we supposed to hunt?
Not now, there isn't, but we can teach you ways. There are creatures to be found. And this group that you've managed to put together here of a few hundred people can be sustained off the northern forest, even in its state right now. In fact, I think we could possibly accommodate more. But we will only welcome others in as brethren, hunters of the lands, those who know the way of the wilds. Farmers are what you wish to become, then negotiations will end here. You will receive no help.
All right, well, in that case, we will not be seeking aid to become farmers from you. If you could teach the rangers that live in this encampment the ways of the wild, as you put it, and how to forage and hunt off the northern wood, that would be greatly appreciated.
I feel that we all must learn these. Citizens must be able to fend for themselves in some regard.
Yes, you are correct, Goliath. As it is right now, they are weak, barely deserving of any of nature's bounty. We can turn them into hunters who understand the ways, then, well, that would change things.
And I suppose I do have one question, just to make sure that we don't do anything that would, harm our favor with you in the future. Nobody is allowed to farm here, ever. Is that what you are suggesting?
The druids all nod, not all at the same time, but like waves of nodding kind of go throughout them.
Okay. Understood.
At this point, I step in.
Okay.
Baloo will grow. No matter what techniques you teach us, it's not. What's left in the forest will not be enough to sustain these people.
Well, there's another thing. And you see he opens his hand, turning it over, and there a group of good berries can be found. It's a trick that you know that the druids possess. He says, "We will find other ways of feeding the folk. Even if Valu intends to grow, so long as you maintain your commitment with nature, we will find ways to make sure food is not too scarce."
Well, this seems agreeable.
We will have to consult with the spirits of the forest and see to it that they too agree. But in the event that all is well, we will come up with the rites that you will have to say before entering into the north. We will even teach you what to do once you're there. Agreements will be created and honored, and everyone shall prosper.
This sounds excellent.
You see that hooded figures in their green here turn over towards Vorok and Dudarin as well to see what they have to say.
Well, like I had said earlier, rivals now become teammates.
Perhaps.
I remain silent.
What did you say, Dudarin?
I remain quiet.
Oh, I thought you said construct additional pylons.
I look at Dudarin and I just kind of want to give him like a nod. I don't know what I'm trying. I'm trying to convey something. I don't know if he'll get it, but just like do it.
Oh, like agree?
Yeah, like just fucking agree.
Okay. You guys have known each other long enough, you could probably do that, especially in this situation. You've been running the town for a while. Dude Aaron, what do you do? You've been quiet here. It seems that your two companions are in. Ivan has stayed back in his tent, feeling a little bit ill, so who knows what his thoughts are, but here you are.
I'll nod in agreement.
Good, says the head druid as he looks over and sees the nod. We return to the forest. We'll consult with the spirits. And you should see us soon. Until that time comes, an offering of peace. And you see that suddenly he goes to reach into his robes here, and he pulls out what looks like an incredibly large piece of cloth. He lays it down on the ground, and one by one, you see the druids come over, casting their magic, leaving like handful after handful of good berries into it, until there's like a very large pile of them.
Nice. Thank you.
This should feed the people for now, if they are to learn and soon join us here in the forest. We would be happy to feed them, that they might feed us later. We will see you soon.
Farewell.
All the druids give you a nod and then eventually start to head out, the animals following behind them as they make their way past the snow towards the forest.
When
Was
they
that earshot?
yeah,
This one turned the
exactly.
other two. What did he mean about us feed them? Do they eat people?
No, God damn it, Vorak. I mean,
It's a
Yenji,
good
damn
question.
It, Vorak.
I mean,
No, I do not think they eat people, but now that they are gone, to Darren. At the moment, we will agree to the terms of, well, what they want. If in the future, when, I don't know, this winter subsides and we can actually farm the land beyond what is within the, well, the heated area, then we can discuss farming. At the moment, this is our best option.
oh, the druidic double cross is already brewing.
Fuck the druids, assholes.
This deal was nothing more than them getting a little leeway with us. We've gained nothing.
We've gained these good berries, of
Those won't
which
even-
they won't even what?
There's not enough there to feed people for days.
I pick up a good berry and I give it to him and I say, eat this.
I'll take it and chomp it down.
You immediately feel full, like you've consumed an entire meal.
See?
I'm not talking about how filling they are. I'm talking about how many there are.
How many are there?
Looking down at this, you see what look like probably hundreds of good berries. There's enough to get roughly one meal for everyone if you just had to guess off the top of your head.
Okay.
So it would feed everybody for a day here.
The druids will return in some time. I would imagine that this will be enough in the meantime. If they can teach people how to feed for themselves, that is well worth it.
You know, I'm probably shooting myself in the foot at this point, but after all this is said and done to the druids, and we no longer need them, I'm burning this place down.
The
don't like being-
forest?
The temple.
Oh,
I don't like being taken advantage of like this.
I mean, it's a rather nice temple, and we really did put a lot of work into it.
I just rearranged all the plants.
Yes, I will not let you burn my garden.
I don't think.
Like, under my breath, Vara was right. We should have just killed them.
Do not let your temper get the best of you, Dudarin. A wise ruler does not jump to such rash decisions.
If they had decided to help us in a more beneficial way, I probably wouldn't be so angry, Metaltier.
They
was a-
said they would help us in a more beneficial way.
That's if their, and I air quote, spirits agree.
And if they don't, we can go kill all the druids. Are you happy, Dudarin?
A little, yes.
I just shake my head. I'm going to distribute these amongst the folk of the city. Could you finish the pond that you started yesterday?
Yes, I'm going to speak with Jack first, though.
Understood.
Okay. Vorak, where are you headed?
Suppose I'll dig the pond if no one else is there to dig.
Okay. So you go to dig that, and Dudarin, you head off to go and speak with Jack. Meanwhile, Meneltern is handing out the berries.
I will say no to the berry.
Okay.
Gross, Vorak needs meat, not little fruits.
God fucking damn it! When I'm handing them out, I tried my best to explain to everybody that this will fill them for the entire day. If it looks like they're really getting hung up on it and they're just taking up too much of my time, I'm just gonna walk away.
Okay, that's fair. They seem to more or less agree, and you don't get a lot of fuss from them as you're handing them out. It's a long process to distribute it to everybody, but you go out and dutifully carry out this duty. Meanwhile, back in the tent, Jack's guard has welcomed you in here, and Dudarin, you see him once again. He looks over and says, "Ah, my friend, what is it?"
I've made a decision.
You seem upset about something.
Oh, certainly am.
What is it?
This deal with the druids is not what we had hoped.
Ah, you spoke with them then. They returned?
Yeah, they said we can now hunt in the forest again if their spirits agree, and they'll give us these berries. But we can't farm. Ever.
Well, at least that solves the problem of food for now.
And I plan on solving it, hopefully forever.
Dudarin, please, you sound like you tend to do something hasty. Is the loss of farming really that big a deal? Not like we had it in the first place.
That's why I sought out the druids, that they would help us learn to farm, so we could sustain ourselves.
Well, if they teach you how to hunt, does that not accomplish the same goal?
Despite what they say, I doubt there's anywhere near as much food to sustain Blue, especially if it grows in the future.
You suspect they're lying then? Did it seem as though they were not being forthcoming?
The few times I've talked to them, they have always rubbed me the wrong way.
I pray that your hunch is incorrect, but it turns out to be true. We will have to be prepared for them. Don't know how many enemies we can handle at once, though. My family is to be restored back to its proper name. I don't think it'll be done after a war with the undead, followed by fighting all the druids of the land.
That's why I'm going to go around the druids.
How do you mean?
I'm going to see if I can speak with the Red Queen.
to Darren. We'll give you suggestions, but what you choose to do is up to you. I wish you all the luck that you'll likely need if you intend to go speak with him.
I'll listen to anything you have.
Just know that before you go, you did make me a promise. You don't intend to double-cross me as well, do you?
I only betray those who have betrayed me.
Well, good luck.
I head for the portal.
Okay. And with that, we will end the session.
And we never saw Darren again.
Well, see, now I don't trust Jack, because Jack got kind of quiet when you said you only betray those that betray you. He's just kind of like,
I didn't make a deal with Jack to try and fix the food situation.
Well, we have a very
could go
interesting set of
wrong?
events coming up, I think. City Builder just turned into fucking, like, Civ 5 diplomacy backstabberino over here.
Backstabberino.
Now, to give you some credit there, Lucian, that made me angry out of character.
Well, that's good.
Oh,
Well, thank you, all of you. I think that you played very well. To Relic, who is not here, likely due to work, you the same. And to all of our audience for tuning in, thank you. It's always a joy. To the patrons, without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do this. We're going to talk some random stuff as we throw the wait screen on. Otherwise, there's a game tomorrow, an hour later than usual. Well, compared to this one, they're going to be right on time. And then, oh god, what did they be up to? Oh, some crazy shit. It's gonna be fun, and we'll see you guys later. Adios. There we go. Well, the druids, then this, then that, off to the fucking portal.
look, I'm not gonna say the druids aren't. They're dickheads. That's what they are. They're not very nice.
we're gonna get in trouble with this double crossing stuff. Because Goliath's just like to challenge people on even grounds for things. Just have to walk into the forest. Where's the leader? Jadaren wants to betray you. Let me fight you for it.
Put on your fighting gloves. Oh wow.
Oh boy.